Fucking kill you! Fucking kill you!
What's happening, everybody, and welcome to ConbroPLAYtions. Today we're going to be discussing our Last of Us Part 2 spoilers right here, our Spoilercast episode that you guys have all been waiting for, in case you didn't know from the title or anything like that. I'm one of your boys, Eddie, along with the inverted gamer himself, Sheps. How's it going, bro?
It's going good. I cannot wait to talk spoilers about this. It's in the name. I'm not even, if you get spoiled, it's your own fault. I don't care.
You know there's going to be someone in the comment section right now. It's like, I watched this whole episode, this whole thing, and you spoiled the whole game for me.
One of the things I'm looking forward to about doing this is being able to now, because neither of us have talked about this game at all. I mean, I know there is the spoiler chat in the Discord, but I've avoided it since.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody knows roughly how you feel about it, because they watch you stream.
I did stream the whole game for those of you guys.
I watched up to the first flashback, and then I was like, okay, from that, I'm pulling back. I'm not going to... So I really have no idea. We haven't spoken about it. And I think the boys on the Discord are really interested to know what we think, whether or not... So some people haven't played it and they're wondering, should I get it in 6 months when it's cheap or whatever?
Yeah.
And I have not said anything because I didn't want you to see it.
Yeah.
And so now we get to do that, even if they don't watch this thing.
It's really surprising because we've been avoiding a lot of even gaming talk because we don't want to get even the slightest hint. We don't want to turn into suddenly go, oh, so you know in The Last of Us, we don't want to even go into that.
We didn't even want to touch it. So
I don't even have a cold read on you right now. It's really odd.
When did I finish it? It's Friday, Saturday, something like that. We have not talked any gaming, and up until once I started it until then, the most we talked about gaming-wise was... Oh, I think I'm at this part. How long do you reckon I got left? I'm about halfway through, just to gauge when we could do this episode. So we really don't know.
This is going to be really interesting for you guys because you're going to get to see our genuine reactions of two people that are completely sort of separate and going, okay, and we go right past each other.
It's actually one of the longest times we've gone without discussing any real topic. So it'd be interesting to see. But before we get too far into it, this podcast, this Spoilercast, is brought to you, along with all of our content, by our amazing Super Bros. Over on... Is it Super Bros?
Yeah.
Oh no, our amazing patrons. I guess it's
same thing, yeah.
This content is brought to you by our amazing patrons over on patreon.com/Conbrosations. Remember the dab after all these years.
It's been a while since we've been in front of the
I
camera.
said all these years.
All these years. That's how it feels like. It feels like the lockdown vlog. Anyway, we have Jeremy Renner, we have Chris Williams, Diogo Dildo, Dan the Man, Record Friction, Ashton, aka the Weekend Simp, and also Simps on Conbrosations.
That is what it says right there.
Says right there. Catsper, the friendly patron, and Jake Ryan. Thank you, bros, for supporting us here at Conbrosations, keeping the lights, the mics on, and the gaming going here at Conbrosations.
There is one more shameless plug, which is for this month. We have these amazing t-shirts, which this is my first time wearing it. I'm very happy with it. I do wish we could see the blue would pop just a little bit more.
The blue just a smidge.
I think it may be the grey, but...
I think it looks, on camera as well, it looks very nice.
It does look good. I will say, I think when Cyberpunk changes the world, people are going to come out and be like, oh, hey, cool Cyberpunk. Wait, what does that say?
Oh, this is Conbrosations and ConbroPLAYtions.
I cannot wait for it. So we're running either these t-shirts with direct links in the description to the t-shirt that you want. I think it's like £14, £15.
£14 or something like that.
Or for a slightly better deal on a t-shirt, you can head over to Patreon and join our, for even more money than the t-shirt, I guess, our top level Patreon tier, which is at $28 at the minute, which gets you our normal top tier, the Super Bro $15.
You can have your name read out, all the perks, early access, stuff like that.
Plus the t-shirt, and you save on the t-shirt, you save like $2 or so. I can't remember how it was.
It's just a bit cheaper, but also you get to support us if you choose to over
Exactly.
there.
And you
That's
get all the
really
extra Patreon stuff, and we've changed some of that stuff, so it'll be even more fun. I mean, it's going to be good. Now, fuck all the shameless promotion. Let's talk about The Last of Us. Let's do overall impressions, and then we'll go through the game.
Agreed. Go ahead. Take it away, my good friend.
Okay, yeah, this is going to be fun because we don't know. So, I have this list that I put on my phone, just the things that I really want to cover. Can you see? Yeah, there we go.
Roughly, yeah.
Pros and cons.
Gotta say, the
cons,
fingerprints on screens are just great,
mate,
aren't they?
I actually couldn't see it until you did. Thanks for making me mad.
God.
So,
your cons list was quite big, a lot bigger than the thing.
It's a lot bigger.
Sheps, no, who knew?
Who would have guessed? It's a lot bigger. It's a lot more detailed. So I think people are going to be, you know,
I'll be
8 out of
interested.
10.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Ooh, right off the bat. That's interesting. Go on, give me some more. Give me some more feelings.
I really genuinely enjoyed the game.
Mm-hmm.
They did. In fact, I called some of the stuff they would do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I text you and I said, I'm worried they're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a mistake. How, you know, I didn't hate what they did. In particular, I'm talking playing as Abby. I felt that was a mistake. I didn't mind it. When, you know, playing it, I think they did an okay job of it. I still don't think I would have gone that route. There are some other issues, and they're real and present, and they're important, and people could not like it for those reasons, and I totally buy it. I really enjoyed it. I really genuinely enjoyed it all the way through.
I'm really happy to hear that because I was worried. I was like, because before we heard there was some rumors going around. This game has been completely ruined, X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
There was a ton of leaks. I actually, one thing got leaked for me, but it was a fake leak. When I got to play the game, it was completely false and whatnot. It was that the Scars were extremely religious, and the reason why Ellie is mad and going after people
I saw that
is because they hate gays and they killed Dina.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, that's going to be really strict.
It's a bit heavy-handed.
Bit heavy-handed, but I'll see how they execute it. Like a normal person, you wait until they execute, and then it totally wasn't real. So I was like, anyway.
I got one spoiler from a thumbnail on YouTube where it was like the "It's Ma'am," you know, the do you know that video?
Oh yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, oh great, okay, Abby's gonna be trans or whatever, and that didn't turn out to be true. So I was like, okay, you know, not really a spoiler, but I was getting ready for it, but it wasn't in there, so it's, you know, it's okay.
The worst part about those fake leaks, or even leaks in general, are just prepping you for something that you don't know out of context. It's like, let me see it and then see what happens.
For the record, I still am not aware of what the leaks were, other than those.
Yeah, I didn't go back and see them. It'd be interesting.
I'm not interested. I guess we could do a follow-up video, or maybe later today when we find out what they are.
Yeah, let us know. We might find it.
I wanted to come into this with just my impression, so you guys know what I think. And look, maybe someone will say something really impactful in a video on YouTube or something, and I go, oh, do you know what? Actually, when you say it that way, yeah, I think it changes. But for now, this is how I experience the game and how I feel.
Cool.
How about you?
I really enjoyed this game as well. There is some bits, like you said, bits where I'm like, God, I wish they didn't do that bit right there.
Yeah.
And we'll go fully into all this stuff in just a moment. I don't want to give a general over-the-top impressions. There were some bits I was like, that's wrong right there, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And if anyone said they didn't like the game for that, I'll be like,
Yeah.
fully understand your point. You've made a completely valid point right there. And it didn't, I feel like, didn't do anything too egregious. It was just some pacing issues.
Yeah.
It was just some very ill-timed scenes and stuff like that.
Transitions to stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. There was the big death towards the beginning. I have one argument for why it could have been at a different position, but other than that, I kind of liked where it was. It made flashbacks seem really impactful and whatnot. Other than that, though, at the end, I felt like I experienced a very, very cool cinematic piece of gaming.
I was drained. I literally needed 2 days.
Everyone saw me as well on the stream. I'm exactly the same.
I came around, I think that day for poker night, I was dead.
Yeah.
I was dead.
I remember you came to me, you was like, you didn't even, normally we're like, oh hey, how's it going, bro?
I just came in the house.
Mate, you look drained. What's up with you?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Damn, it was bad. But other than that, I said, this is a great cinematic story, great piece of cinema in gaming.
Yeah.
I've experienced and felt things that I've never felt in another game before.
Yeah, I feel it's a big emotional ride.
And I was like, I've got to respect it for that. And they have some flaws, but you know, some things do have flaws sometimes, and we'll take them out.
I was a little worried this would go like Horizon Zero Dawn, where you would enjoy it, and for me, I would go through and just be like, I can't get away from this
over
messaging.
those hurdles,
Right. But it didn't turn out too bad. So let's discuss it, man.
Let's talk about it. I got some like key points to bring up, and then we can talk about
Your
it
very
right
first
here.
thing.
I've got something there. Talk about the gameplay. How do
Okay.
you feel about the gameplay, first of all?
I've said this since 2013. My number one critique for The Last of Us 1 is that it's a story-based game. You do not play it for the gameplay. There's like 2 mechanics and 4 enemy types, and that's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I DM myself on Twitter a couple of GIFs. I'll make sure I send them to you. I've seen a few GIFs of the gameplay on... My God. Don't get me wrong. When I played it, it was amazing. And then you see these GIFs and you're like, wow.
Mate.
What? No, seriously. Forget all other discussions. This kicks the shit out of God of War, The Last of Us.
Yeah.
There's something about it that is just... It's so smooth. And bear in mind, day of release PS4.
Yeah.
Now, we did just do a cleaning on it, which... helped amazingly.
Yeah, you said we cleaned it out with the Hoover, and then after you just got it back, you're like, bro, this has changed the game.
But the gameplay, just how smooth it is. I like how many different weapons there are, and the mechanics they did to separate the characters that you play as to make them feel different.
Yeah.
Man, so good.
It was
so
great, right?
smooth. And we said it when we saw I think it was in 2018. We saw where she's going through the house and there's the long grass and stuff. And we said, like, adding all the levels and the different ways you can stealth, but also the dogs that can, there's so much more to it. Mm-hmm. In terms of just gameplay, I think it's a 10 out of 10 game.
Yeah.
Just game. If you take everything out just for the gameplay.
100% agree with you. The gameplay was flawless for me.
It may be the and I can't believe I'm going to say it might be the greatest third-person this style of game for the gameplay, just gameplay. I'm not talking about anything else you can think, Red Dead or The Witcher or...
I was going to say, real world, I mean, some people might go, because it's an opinion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Some people might go, I like Witcher because you got magic as well
Yeah.
in it, you got swords in it and stuff like that. We're talking real world, if we're talking about what's realistic and what's in the universe of that game, I agree with you.
I would even contest, in terms of, it's not what you prefer, I'm not talking about what you prefer.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, how smooth it is, how many options you have for things. The Witch is relatively basic, and I don't mean that as an insult, but basically you can dodge or roll out the way, you can attack stuff with a sword, or you can use magic. That's all you get, right? This just has so much more to it. I think just from the gameplay mechanics, in the combat, in the stealth, the number of enemies, I really think it's amazing.
I really liked it as well.
Experience.
There was a couple of really cool mechanics that I picked up on that some people, after like watching videos of people saying like, I didn't go into full on Spoilercast because I just didn't have the time for it, but little odd videos, people saying I love this because of that reason and whatnot. Some people didn't pick up on this stuff. I like so you can dodge out of ways, and it's a fucking realistic dodge as well.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like roll 5 meters away. It's a realistic, oh shit, there's a fucking blade coming towards me. And then you can strike in at somebody. If you shoot someone in the leg, then they act as if they've been shot in the leg. They can sometimes get down and be like, please don't kill me. Yeah. And if you let them go, then they try and pull out a gun on you and try and shoot you.
Because you've just had to kill them.
Exactly. Yeah. The way that if you set someone on fire, they scream.
Yeah, bad.
Oh
bad.
my
like they're
God.
burning to death.
It's like really burning to death. I'm like, I heard there was a woman that I set on fire and she was fucking screaming her up.
Setting
and then
chicks on fire is awful.
a guy as well. And I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I would sound like. I was like, ah. It was fucking insane. But how smooth everything was. The fact that if you're aiming with your gun, if you're aiming for more than 1 second, she pulls back the hammer as well. I was like, that's a nice little touch right there. Vaulting felt good. The only thing I did think it was a little bit off sometimes, there were jumps that sometimes I knew I could make, and it would fall short.
In particular, the scene where you're Abby and Lev and you're jumping across the water.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can make this.
I know I can.
And I had one of those trying to get up the side of the cliff in California as Ellie, where I'm like, this is an easy jump. Why can we not make this?
Yes.
There was one of those things. But in terms of the UI, just a couple of poor jump things. And that's it.
Perfect.
Otherwise perfect,
Yeah.
Otherwise really good.
The enemy types. So that was, as you said just before, that there was only 4 in the previous one. Greatly expanded, I believe, in this one. Including one fuck-off sized monster that gave me fucking... I was scared to go to sleep that night. I was like, oh my God, this is Resident Evil. That's what this is.
So, should we talk about that boss fight when we get there, or should we talk about it now? It's up to you. I don't mind. I'm happy.
I feel like I brought it up. Let's go and talk about it. It would have been better to wait. That's my bad.
Oh, then we'll wait.
Let's wait then. Go on. Let's go on.
let's-
Was there any other things that you didn't like?
Oh, there's tons of things I didn't like.
Go on, not like story-based things, but was there any like mechanics things or anything like that? Or,
No,
or anything you just like visually perhaps or anything like that?
I personally did have a couple texture pops where like I would turn the camera and it would allow me to go through something and then it would pop everything white that wasn't Ellie or something once or twice.
Okay.
Not enough to ruin immersion at all. Nowhere near as bad as what I had with like Jedi Fallen Order, for example. Right. But like once or twice I'm like, oh hey, that was weird. Otherwise, no. Swimming wasn't ideal, but we didn't have to do too much of it.
Not too much of it, no.
I found myself being me trying to see if there was anything under the water. There's never anything under the water,
Yeah,
right?
the water part was
There's
just
one thing.
It was
There's
a
one
new
coin.
thing. Yeah, it was a new thing that they added, but it was more like just to add a little bit more because its verticality has been improved. Where like you can go into top floors and go out of windows, and they went to add one layer down. But it really wasn't important and it wasn't a core feature, so they just been okay. Just go straight and you'll get there. You'll get there. That's
pretty
what it
much.
was.
So mechanic wise, UI wise, super happy with it.
I will say just because some people really like to know this and whatnot, and so you are playing on the base day of release PS4, and I'm playing on a PS4 Pro, so there's a little bit of difference there. You can see my streams. I think it looked absolutely gorgeous.
Incredible on my 1080p TV on my base PS4. It looked insane. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seen it like on the screen here. Looks amazing here, but it looks incredible on my basic setup.
I did comparisons afterwards because I just genuinely wanted to see what it looked like on a base PS4.
I don't know how they did it.
How?
I don't know how they did it.
How?
I'm actually really looking forward to getting this for the PS5.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what it's going to look with ray
something.
tracing and stuff.
I hope they do something where you can play it and whatnot. Where there'll be PS4 emulation on the PS5, and then there's that natural upclock that they do for it. But I hope there's just a little like an update that comes out just to add a little bit to it.
In terms of things like hardware, like gameplay mechanics, I have no complaints. Like none. I don't think they did anything really too bad. I will say there's like we said with jumping. Sometimes I feel like in combat she jumps too far. She can jump a little bit too far, a little bit too high. It was not enough to make you go, what? Since when was she Spider-Man?
Yeah.
But it's like, something doesn't quite fit. I guess she kind of has a commando lunge thing to it. But other than that, like, it was super happy.
It was good. All right, let's get in some of the story bits then. The opening. It starts off with like Joel and Tommy, and they're like talking and whatnot. This is something that I only noticed after the fact, and did I bring it up to you?
I think you did.
I did. So in The Last of Us Part 1, you start off, the first playable character is Sarah, and Sarah dies immediately. Yeah. And in The Last of Us Part 2, Joel is the first playable character, and Joel dies immediately. Oh god, they tried to warn us.
There is one other thing that they do like that actually I immediately noticed and was really kind of not annoyed, but I was like, fuck, he did it again.
Yeah.
At the very end of the game, if you get a brand new weapon, it tells you this is the end of the game. The suppressed MP5 and the AR-15.
Yeah.
Like, great, this is the last mission. I know.
Yeah.
Thanks. You know, that's it.
Thank you for spoiling that bit for me.
Right.
Yeah. The opening though, it was nice. You sort of got to play as the first thing playing as Joel again. It felt good. It was like, oh man, this is the guy we love. This is one of the characters that we really want to connect with. Thank you for giving us control over Joel and whatnot. And you can tell there's like unresolved issues as well when it comes to Ellie and whatnot. And it really made the next couple scenes like more impactful. How did you feel about the opening? Was it perfect for you at least?
Do you know what? I feel like the opening it sets you up for such a downswing when things take a turn for the worse, because it finally feels like they found some peace. Like they're at Jackson, they're relatively safe. It looks like stuff grows well nearby, so you presume they're not starving. There's these open fields. It's kind of cowboy-like, and Joel's kind of a cowboy.
I was going to say, it looked like the set of Back to the Future, basically. It was like walking to Back to the Future 3.
And it was very peaceful. It seemed like it was a very good day on a very good life, but in 1870. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. It was good.
You knew it was going to set you up for something, right?
I was like, oh, cool, yeah, finally they found peace. Oh, no, that's right. This is Last of Us.
This is the start of the game.
Yeah.
God damn it, we know this is going to all go south.
But, it was, like I say, it was so great to see Joel back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way the game goes on, it's like you... how did you feel about first taking control of Ellie? Like when you realised you were like, oh, I'm playing as Ellie now. Did it feel natural? It felt decent, right?
I thought it felt really good. Yeah. I like a few things about it. One, I like they did basically the same thing as with God of War, where it's seamless transition. There's no cut. You just suddenly you're in control.
Yeah.
I like that basically the first thing you do is look around Ellie's room and get to know her again.
Yeah.
Right. So you see like her knife stuck in the desk drawer, whatever it is, and that she does that. It's like a habit. She's playing a PS3 and has like Uncharted 2 or something there. You know, finding the PS3s and the references to old PlayStation games.
Yeah.
Because it's 2013, right? So PS3 would be would it be PS3?
It would have been PS3, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite cool seeing that.
It was quite cool seeing like some of the Sony tech and silly things like that. I also did find one apartment where people were playing like a Dungeons and Dragons game, and it had clearly been like the day of the thing, and they'd left, and it was still there. It was quite funny. So you know, I like that. I like that. You know, she has her own place, and we get to see it. And she's not Joel's daughter. She's Ellie, who is Joel's daughter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's her own character. She's not like the tacked on thing.
Very well done.
Pretty much straight away, and this is another thing that sets you up for a giant fall. Pretty much the first thing you can do as Ellie is pet that dog.
Yes. I was like, that's what I said in the stream. I was like, you better be able to pet the dog. You can pet the dog. That's great. Oh, we're going to kill a lot of dogs, aren't we?
I finally figured out, actually, there is one UI thing that's kind of Roach-like.
Okay.
That dog and Alice both have this weird movement where instead of, you know, walking, they kind of...
I actually did something with one of the horses actually in it, and it was very Roach-like. Like you said, he was on like a ledge, and you know how like it was sort of like you know when Roach is at an odd angle where the front legs
twerking or something.
It was like that. It was going on.
Or start doing like push-ups.
Yeah. So it starts off with like Ellie. She goes out for like patrols and stuff like that, and she starts to get closer with this character called Dina. How did you feel about Dina?
Dina. Okay. So I know some criticisms of this game are that, one, the characters don't make like super realistic decisions. For example, on their patrol, there's like a blizzard and they end up like taking shelter, right? And I know some people are like, you know, why aren't they barricading the doors and clearing the whole house and stuff? And for me, I'm like, well, as in the playable section, we go through and get all of our resources. I presume maybe they do that, and they're in a blizzard. There's nothing they can do, so they go on about, you know, what they're doing. So I didn't mind that too much. And I also don't think these aren't Navy SEALs, right? These aren't tactically trained people. These are people that are out and about doing things as best as they can without, you know, like they're not Navy SEAls. You know, they're not tactically trained. They're just doing things that they've learned as they've survived through through the game. Dina's fine. There's a lot of strong women. I like a lot of the ways they do it. So, for example, who's Tommy's wife? Maria? Maria?
No. Tom. Who was Tommy again?
Joel's brother.
Oh yeah. I don't remember what her name
Jackson.
is. Yeah. Like, yeah. The older one. Yeah.
And this is something that bugged me in Horizon Zero Dawn. Just they put all these women in all the positions of power, and they're all doing everything great. Plus, they're amazing warriors, right?
Yeah.
And any situation where someone's evil or incompetent, they're all male. In this, it's like she isn't a badass Abby or Ellie.
Yeah.
But she, you know, she's in a role that suits her. She's obviously like running a town. It's all about organizing people, understanding people, making sure that people are doing things that suit their strengths and resolving conflict and stuff. And she's in a position of power, but it's perfectly reasonable. She isn't warlord fucking...
Yeah, she's not controlling everyone and like everyone must bend
she's not
to my...
Conan the Barbarian, right?
Yeah.
So I liked a lot of that stuff. Dina, I felt was fine. I just didn't like the way her character kind of progresses. It's a bit strange the way like...
I get that feeling. My personal feeling with Dina was that sometimes she made some really stupid decisions, and I was like, why would you say that in this situation? Like, I'm gonna jump just a little bit ahead here. Yep. Later on in the scene where they're at the theater, she's feeling really sick and whatnot and stuff like that. Ellie goes out and comes back with Jesse.
Yeah.
And previously to that, she had just confessed that she was pregnant with Jesse's baby.
Oh god, yeah, this bugged me a lot. Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, that's mad. And hold on a second, you essentially got with Ellie days before, knowing that you've got this huge burden of responsibility that is already tying you to another person. That's really fucked up and emotional that you've done to our girl Ellie. And then when Jesse walks in, she hugs Jesse like straight up right in front of her, and I'm like, you're breaking our girl's heart right here. That's really bad of you.
I'll defend something for Dina. the time it takes you to get to that theatre, I'm going to say is probably like a minimum of a month to 6 weeks, somewhere in that range. We know that we spent multiple weeks on the road.
I don't think so. I think your thing's really off because it goes Seattle day 1, day 2, day 3.
Yeah, but to get there, that's once you get to the WLF gate.
I think
but getting there is multi-week. It's multiple weeks of travel to get there. Like if you just Google.
So I don't think it's. I get what you mean
it's
there.
a couple of weeks
I get what you mean there. I don't think it's weeks. I think it's a matter of days. I think it's a matter of days.
We can go back and check. I'm pretty sure it takes at
Think about
least.
resources. How'd they get there?
They live off the land. Yeah, they're like scavenging berries and.
I'm gonna hard disagree with that one.
I think it takes at least 2 weeks for them to get to that first like Seattle
Okay,
area.
let's say
right?
2
That's my
weeks,
personal thing. So if she's late around about the time they leave, but it's like 1 or 2 days, like she might not know. And by the time they're a week or 2 in, and if you read through the diary, they get jumped once or twice. They have to deal with clickers or something at some point. Like she can't just turn back, right? And it's early. Like women are useful, like can physically do stuff for like 4 to 6 months into a pregnancy, right? They're not useless day one. She just happens to be having health issues. So I'm not. It's a bit. And she gets so sickly so quickly. It's a bit unusual. So, but the thing with Jessie, I completely agree. Where she's like
Hug right in front of her.
She gives him the cold shoulder all the time that we see them interact, and then he's here, and suddenly she's like, "Oh, hey, it's good to see you."
It's Jessie, and then
I guess
they're
they're
like
behind enemy lines, so maybe it's like, "Oh, good, we've got some extra."
maybe
It's a tough one. I agree. That didn't sit right with me.
I was proper upset about it. I was like, "This is." As I said, maybe it's because I'm thinking, and I still do believe that it's not that much time that's passed. Maybe a couple of days on the road and whatnot. But
Google Map Wyoming to Seattle.
let's see.
Just do like the middle of Wyoming to Seattle.
How do you spell Wyoming? There we
That's
go,
it.
right there. I was almost spelled it. Wyoming to Seattle.
Yeah, by horse. By horse. It was on there.
Oh, really? Okay, by
Yeah.
horse.
Look, it's a 4.5 hour drive. No, flight. It's 4.5 hour
by
flight.
horse. There we go. Across America. Hold on a sec. Does anyone actually know?
Let's just find the mileage.
Yeah, let's go back. It was saying there.
Scroll down. So it's 1,000 miles. If you do 100 miles a day, it's 10 days. And I don't think you can do 100 miles a day on horse cross country.
I mean, that's only until actually that is. I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure. It didn't feel like it anyway. But still, we don't necessarily have to be at the first month of her pregnancy. There's no way she didn't know beforehand.
I kind of agree, and I'm not super trying to defend it.
Yeah.
I actually
but you're trying to give reason.
I felt like it was fairly lazy. I think they could have had her break her leg, or sprain something badly enough that she was out of commission, had to stay put. I would have preferred that. I feel like the pregnancy was a bit too much. I also knew as soon as we found Tommy's horse, and she chucks, I'm like, she didn't chuck over the moose, right? Like something's changed in this time period.
I actually didn't mind the pregnancy part. We are staying in this jumping ahead. I said for just a moment.
We should come back.
Let's go back actually. Okay. Let's go back actually right now. So when it comes to the beginning part, they all go out and they get into that place where they it's one of their friends' den where he's growing weed, right? And that's where they have sex for the first time. I don't remember his name, but he's one of their guys.
He's an
tech
older guy. He had died of like a stroke or something, guy of old age in his 70s. And they found his weed growing operation. Yeah.
Start rolling up, and they're like, "Yeah, let's go."
Presumably, like Maria or something didn't like the droogs.
Yeah,
and so he did it outside. I do have a problem with them not securing the building a little bit. I feel like for these people, those horses are so insanely valuable. Think back to cowboy times.
Horses,
If you steal a horse, that's a death sentence. That's how big of a deal it was, right?
Yeah.
I think to these people, it is that important. These horses. That they would definitely have barricaded them, made sure they were warm. And it could have been, we could have had a throwaway scene of them like dragging something in front of the door and chucking a blanket over. Something like, for me, I feel like that is a huge resource. And I didn't like that they just go downstairs. I don't particularly have a problem with what they do. Like, they're both used to bunning.
Yeah.
Right? They find some stuff. They're in the middle of a blizzard. As far as they're concerned, the building's secure. Mm-hmm. They kind of had some chemistry. And they get down to it.
I thought that was completely fine as well.
Mind
it seemed like it was very clear that it was like, oh, Ellie knows that she's into chicks and whatnot. It's like, But Dina's been with Jesse. I don't really know that she didn't want to seem vulnerable. She did like her. She's liked her for a long time as well. We find out later on.
And
whatnot.
my main thing is we're in the middle of a blizzard. Like, I know they're on patrol, but we're in a blizzard. They can't leave. They have to protect the horses. They probably get lost. I mean, we nearly get lost getting there, right?
Yeah, fucking hell, nearly get lost.
It's actually really tense.
At one point, she disappears. Now,
Yeah.
at one point in the stream, I was like, "Where the fuck am I? I don't know where the hell I am."
It makes you kind of anxious. It's really well done. Yeah. I like that. So I'm cool with them staying put, and they have power and stuff. Cool, so they bang, right?
Yeah.
Then
Jesse comes in.
Jesse comes. I feel like the scene where they get caught is just a bit like we didn't need it.
It's very much like TV and whatnot,
Yeah.
where it's sort of like they came in. It's like 1 second, don't come in here, and they're like buttoning up. And it was very clear they wanted to
Also,
get
what
caught.
if it wasn't Jesse?
It's true.
So
it's true.
I feel like Jesse had already established that he wasn't that fussed about it.
Yeah, he was like, we've broken up and whatnot.
Yeah.
He was obviously a bit confused, but we didn't get to explore much of Jesse and how he felt about this. There was a few lines afterwards, and what happens to Jesse afterwards, I was like, I kind of liked him, but not enough to actually feel too much when it actually happened.
I agree.
It wasn't fleshed out enough, his character.
I agree.
Anyway, he comes in and he's like, oh, Joel and Tommy have missed their check-in. We have to go find them. I do love Ellie's response here, even though she's half naked.
Down to go.
Just sorted the moment. It's like, Dina's right here. You've come in right now. That's an awkward moment. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Joel's in trouble. Yeah. And at that moment, they have a bit of a... It's clear that there's been a falling out between Joel and Ellie and whatnot.
Yes.
Some things happened back in Jacksonville. They didn't talk about it too much at that point. Yeah. But they're like... But still, she's like, I don't care. Yeah. It's Joel. It's my man.
The gear up and stuff, they say, oh, how are things with the old man? You're a bit hard on him last night, that kind of thing. I do like that people just call Joel her old man.
Yeah.
As far as they're concerned, they're family. As far as I'm concerned, they're family.
Exactly.
It's one of those things.
I even said in the streams, I was like, in my eyes, that's her father. And that is like completely. The first love of her life. Like, this is like the guy, this is the one, this is the man that she...
romantic.
Not romantic, fatherly love type thing and whatnot. That's what fathers, in my eyes anyway, are to daughters, the first love of their lives when they grow up and whatnot.
Should be, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was really cool. She goes out, and then we have the scene with Joel, right?
Yeah, so, okay, here's one of my biggest criticisms for this game.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, just before that, it was the Abby scene before.
That's what I was about to say.
Go ahead, go for it.
One of my biggest criticisms for this game, it's in my top 3, if not number 1, is Abby's character model. In particular, this scene. Because we see her with other soldiers and stuff later in the game, and in comparison to them then, she doesn't look so massive.
She doesn't look out of place.
Here, at least, she looks like the at least in terms of her musculature, the size of her arms and stuff, she's maxing out these clothes. She seems easily as big and bulky, if not more so than anyone else there, maybe 2 people combined. But she's a freaking Hulk.
She is massive.
To the point that in a lot of the scenes with her, the cinematics, and just as you're playing with her, it is kind of immersion breaking for a couple of reasons. My number one is that it's entirely unnecessary. Because Ellie is this scrawny little girl when we meet her at 14, and she's a badass. The first thing she does is shank a soldier, right? Yeah. And I immediately love the character. I'm like, she's freaking down to boogie as a little girl, and like, well, look, if a 14-year-old takes a switchblade and sticks it in your neck or your leg or something...
Doesn't matter how huge you are, you're still going to fucking
Right,
kill.
And it was perfectly reasonable. So we've seen strong women in this, and I'm cool. I can believe Ellie. She doesn't need to be here, and my biggest concern with it is that they were not confident enough in writing enough character into the antagonist, into Abby's character. So to make her a viable villain, they make her basically a dude, like in terms of her physicality. And I know there are scenes later on where like we see her as a kid and she's small, and then she's a bit larger later on and older, and she talks about her training. It actually bugged me, the numbers that she said. She said, oh, I pressed like 175
I don't remember the
pounds,
number, but something like that. She said, yeah.
I went and checked because I speak to a lot of Americans around fitness, because I'm, at least I was when the gyms were open.
Back when the gyms were open.
I was like 185 or whatever she said. That's a pretty decent bench press. We have to assume these girls are anywhere in the 5'3" to 5'7" range, right? It's about typical for a woman. So she isn't, because there are Scar women that are huge, these big like frontline rugby player.
We said that she looked like the woman from Matilda, the principal.
Trunchbull.
That's what we were saying. We was like, oh my god, it's Principal Trunchbull. Oh Jesus.
That woman, I have no problem with a woman that size. swinging a maul at you, right?
Yeah.
It totally fits. But that woman dwarfs Abby.
Yeah.
So I actually went and checked her press, because she says press, which typically means bench press or overhead press. Generally bench press is like a world record breaking master powerlifter range.
That's ridiculous. I didn't know that. I didn't bother looking it up.
It's not quite world record, right? For like for a 60 kilo woman, and I presume based on her size and stuff, and just guesstimating, giving them the benefit of the doubt, it's about 70. She weighs about 70 kilos.
Yeah.
Happens to be the same woman that holds the record for 60 and 70 kilo.
Okay.
Her bench press is closing in, and that's a rank 1 world master. Rank 4 world master, which is, if you don't, she's as strong, and she's a child. She's nowhere near her full size in that scene, so it's a bit much. Not like, forget it. It's a game, right? But it just bugged me. Like she doesn't have to be this She-Hulk to be a viable antagonist, or to do Joel in.
That's the problem. This is because he was held down and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter. It's like that information wasn't really necessary. It's like, okay, so we can see that she's strong. You need to fucking start telling us all this shit.
I appreciated the attempt to show her growing and training, that she's dedicated to trying to rebuild the Fireflies and going after Joel, right? What I didn't like was they specifically give a number, and it's ridiculous, right? I mean, that's an 80 or 85 kilo bench press. We'll say it's a 1 rep max. That's big.
That's big.
That's big for a lot, for just people, right? That's huge for a girl, especially her size at the time she is. As well as the fact, and it bugs me because I kind of know this stuff.
Can you tell that he's a fitness guy?
Like, she would not be able to maintain that mass. Now,
especially in an after apocalypse kind of world.
Someone on Twitter said, "Oh, look, there's plenty of women that can do this. Look at these tanks." And I subtweeted it. Yes, there are these CrossFit women and female bodybuilders and stuff. And yes, they do look similar to Abby or bigger. They are also professionals who spend the majority of their time training. They have almost perfect training schedules, almost perfect diet. They get exactly minimum 8 hours, because sleep's a big part of this. They probably have post-care, where they get massages and stuff like that to maintain growth and stuff. They're competing athletes, generally speaking, and they're juiced to the eyeballs, which is not a criticism. I actually don't have a problem with it, but that's the reality of the situation. Let's say she can get the juice, because I'm willing to believe that, right? I'm willing to believe that. They also end up, we see them in that, is it the Seahawks Stadium? Yeah. So they have the training facilities. Let's say they have their own stockpile of juice and all that stuff.
As you do, yeah.
Or a lab to make it. I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah.
Maintaining the caloric intake.
Yeah.
And the training program.
But it's okay. She had a burrito for lunch. It's fine.
Just getting from Seattle to Jackson is probably, again, I reckon it's about 2 weeks. Let's say it's a week. A week there and a week back. If you take 2 weeks off training, you take a step back. If you take 2 weeks off training, your diet isn't spot on because you can only take what you can take on the road. Has to make a week there, a week to find your thing, and a week back. 3 weeks.
You're getting super technical into this.
It just doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit. It
really drew me out of it. And I don't want to continue to bang on about this one particular thing, but it drew me out of the game. It was one of the most immersion breaking things in it. And it didn't need to be there because being Joel to death with a club. By the way, you probably wouldn't use a golf club.
That's a sadistic fucking thing to do.
But like a skinny teenage girl could do that, right? You don't need to be a She-Hulk or this big hulking creature to beat a man to death with an object while he's held down. It isn't hard. It wouldn't have been hard. I have to say the way it's actually done though. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Fucking killed me. It was so visceral. It was ridiculous.
Do you know what it was? You know when a grenade goes off in a movie and it's this huge fire explosion?
Yeah.
And then you see like a realistic war movie or a real grenade go off and it's just a thump.
Yeah.
It's the second one. It's the realistic
Yeah.
thing. That's what it's probably going to look like if that happens. And something about how real it was and how underwhelming the act, the what happens is versus what the result is. Mate, it punched me in the gut.
Yeah.
And I'd seen it on stream with you.
It was fucking terrible, especially when you get like this audio as well at the same time you're by yourself. It really fucking takes you. How did you feel about the introduction of Abby? Because for me, it seemed really, really weird. You got this character, you don't know who they are, and they start talking about how Owen starts talking about how his girl is pregnant. There's very clearly some sort of old relationship in between them.
There you go.
And then we start going away, and I'm like, what is going on? Who is this person?
There has to be time. There has to be time that passes because Owen has to tell her Mel's pregnant, so she isn't showing it.
That's a good point. That's
another thing. All I'm saying is I think it takes minimum a week to get to and from.
That makes a bit more sense.
3 to 4 weeks maybe of recovery for Ellie and Tommy and stuff. Like I do feel like there's a good chunk of time that does pass. We just don't really see it because it's not relevant to us. It's off screen.
Okay, all right.
I'm not trying to sell you on that. I just feel
no, that makes more sense to me. But that's even a small part.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
So Abby, like when they got
strange, like she's just a nobody, and they're overlooking Jackson, and you presume they're moving to get somewhere safe or something. You don't know why they're moving, right? And then she gets into trouble and gets saved. That's one of the things that's a real kick in the balls because they save her.
Yeah, she goes into like a building by herself because Owen goes away. They're kind of pissed at each other.
Yeah,
and Joel saves Abby from clickers.
It's intense as well. Like
it's a very good scene as well.
Yeah.
At one point when I was playing as Abby, because I didn't know who the fuck she was, and going through the gates and stuff like that, and I was like, oh shit, I'm about to get fucked.
When they're all leaning on the gate.
Yeah. I was really fucking scared.
Really
Joel
well
comes along,
timed. It's really good.
saves her, and they go back to their hideout spot, and they go down into the lower area. And all of a sudden, bang, shoot Joel in the leg.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? And then you find out that these people are here to fuck up Joel. And fuck up. And you're like, whoa, what the hell is it? So tell me what you felt about the death of Joel. Did you feel like it was good?
Good's a tough word for this. But yes. Not good.
Timing of it and everything?
I felt like... I probably wouldn't have put it there. But I also probably wouldn't have done all those flashbacks. Right? It's just not the way I would have presented this thing. So being that Joel dies, and the funny thing is, we learn so much more about Joel after he's dead, right? Like, before, he's only what we're presented with. Once he's gone, when you go through his house and you see, like, he'd taken up the wood carving, and he got really good at it. In the flashbacks, you learn about his love for music and how how good he was and stuff. That he was reading comics to keep up with Ellie's interests, right? That he was making his soaps and stuff in his bathroom. If you go through everything, because you're a nerd like me, and you explore everything, right? That he was really into like the Wild West, especially like Texas cowboy art, because that's all the stuff that's on his things. When you see like what he does for Ellie's birthday and stuff, we learn so much more about Joel while he's dead. And so I do like the way they did it, because also their relationship is strained at the beginning. We flash back to things and we get to see the conflict, how it built, and then at the end how it resolved. But then it is a tragedy because it's resolved, kind of. They're about to get things back on track after all of their tense relationship and build up and stuff, and then it's taken away. And I do also like that because of where they are in their relationship, because Joel's taken away from her, it's not like if a tree had fallen on him in the woods and they were at a great peak in their relationship, right? It had these swings and, these highs and lows. And so I do buy the revenge story. It's a different story to The Last of Us 1.
Yeah.
But bizarrely, it's still a father-daughter story. And I know it's set in a revenge flick.
Yeah.
Right? It's set in John Wick.
And he's not actually there.
Right.
But it is about the father.
I actually want to talk about that.
Go on.
Because, and this is my brother who hasn't played it, but I guess watched all the stuff online and has a very negative impression of the game. Because that's what he's like. But lots of people do.
Yeah.
And also about the leaks and stuff. I had said the best lies are coached in truth. Some of the leaks, because we'd seen there was a leak that someone was trans and stuff.
I didn't see that. But yeah.
I had guessed that was one of the leaks from a thing, and apparently it is, because they were saying Abby's trans. The best lies or the best deceptions have an element of truth in. There is a trans character in the game.
Yeah. I
actually have a problem with that. Not that there's a trans character, the way they present it I have a problem with, and it's on my list.
Okay.
But I was like, oh, it's going to be Abby, she's going to be a dude, which would fit the musculature and stuff, but she'd still need to, they would still need to be juicing and training and all that stuff. But, so I'm wondering how much of this is in there. But, what was my thing I wanted to
You went on several tangents
I did.
within one.
What were we talking about?
We was talking about Joel's death first of all.
Yeah.
You went you went off on that and off on that and off again and further along.
Oh yes. Okay. So people felt that they were lied to.
Yes.
They felt that they were presented with a game in which Joel is mainly present in the main story. And one of the big things is one of the trailers shows it's the scene where Ellie comes out of a door and Jesse pulls her back and she turns around and goes, "What are you doing here?" And at the time as well, I believed that it was Joel that had pulled her back, that we had one scene where someone pulls her back, she turns around and Joel replies, "Oh, you think I was going to let you do this on your own?"
Yeah.
I went back and watched it and I have that link and I'm going to send it to you so we can show it.
Yeah.
It is clearly not the same scene.
It's not.
Now that, not just now that I know, but now that I'm looking, I chose to believe Joel's going to come and like kind of rescue her and save the day.
Yeah.
She's out in a sunny area.
Yeah.
She turns around. One, you
this
can
is
see
dark.
the look on her face. It's recognition and then sadness because she was, for a second, it was Joel.
Yeah.
Right? Then it cuts to Joel, and it's a very good cut, and he does appear to answer the question, but Joel is much further inside a building. The lighting's entirely different.
Yeah.
There's no light coming out from onto his face. He's too far into the building because he's next to a stairway.
Yeah.
Like, it's clearly not the same. It's just very well cut. Don't get me wrong, I'd say it's kind of misleading, but that's also what the point of a trailer is.
It's not supposed to give you
But
everything.
it isn't a lie. It wasn't false advertising. I know some people felt that way.
A lot of people actually do feel that. A lot of people, and
I kind of get it.
I get the idea. I do get the idea. The only thing that I think is misleading, the only thing that I think is worth bringing up is that we were sold a game on The Last of Us, and The Last of Us to us is Joel and Ellie.
I feel you.
With a couple of side characters on the side.
I feel you.
The fact that we play for 40% of the game as a completely different character, and that character is a person that you pretty much hate because of what she does to Joel.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a.
I agree.
It's like, so you didn't market that. If you, I mean, there's no way to say, oh, by the way, you're going to play as half the game as a girl who killed your favorite character.
I agree.
There's no way to do that. But that was more egregious to me than the Joel thing.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
So people, specifically what I'm saying, people saw this trailer and then said they marketed this. Joel dies early on. We were marketed a different game.
Yeah.
No, you weren't. It's a bit sneaky, but it is not false marketing.
How else would that have been impactful if they had told you?
And I agree. Like, we all got our hopes up for exactly that and for that scene and for it to be Joel or something. Yeah. And I even remember, I think I said in like 2016 or 17 when we saw that first thing of Ellie and playing the guitar in the room, I said, I bet Joel's dead and we're seeing his ghost.
Yeah, that's what we thought. It was like, maybe it's like her mind's fucking up because he's dead.
I thought
and
she
we're
was
going to see.
cracking.
Yeah, like it would have been a cool thing. Would have been cool. Would have been cool, right there.
So some people felt underserved, let's say, with that, or like missold. I actually do agree, and I said earlier on, I think they're going to make us, they're going to make Abby relatable and stuff, and it's a mistake. I didn't expect to play that much of the game as her, which.
Let's talk about that right now because we are going a bit over the place. But who cares?
Actually,
this is where
because I think we have a lot to talk about when we come here.
Okay.
Because then we'll go into playing
All
as
right,
her. So let's
take it away.
Let's where were we?
I was asking you about Joel's death. So how do you feel about this whole thing?
Very impactful, and I really enjoy learning so much more about the man than our impression of Joel. Mm-hmm. We have an impression of Joel, but we see so much more of him, so much more of his relationship, and how much he loves Ellie without actually being able to say it, and how like his hobbies and stuff. So I think it's fine. It's good. I'll say it's good.
Yeah.
Where would you have put it? Because you said you would have put it somewhere.
There's only one other thing, and that's because if they wanted us to get to know Abby a bit, if they wanted us to kind of like this character a bit more, or to understand where this character's been, how they got to a place, I feel like they should have placed it just a little bit further into it.
Yes.
So when you play as Joel at the beginning, you're like, oh god, I love this character. You start playing as Ellie, and then he dies immediately. You're like, oh, that's so impactful, and that's totally fine. And then when you have the day 1, day 2, day 3 of in Seattle as Ellie, I'm completely fine with that. Yeah. But then when it's a hard stop from the height of height, on this massive cliffhanger, what is going to happen with Abby holding a gun to Tommy's head? And then we go back to playing for 4 days. This thing, I'm like, well, you fucked up the whole pacing of this thing. Everything's off. If it had been one day her out trying to get to Joel, and then eventually she got to Joel, and then they like had a moment where they were together, and then maybe Abby comes in and fucking kills him right in front of her, then it would be like, oh Jesus, what the fuck has been going on? And if we had played a little bit more of Abby before, it would have made it a little bit more impactful, knowing what she's feeling going up to this point. going backwards and retroactively making us play
Always
as a
easier to
character.
do.
No, but making us play as a character
right.
after you've killed someone that we love, I think was like a huge mistake.
Yeah, I think the reason they do that, and I think we're gonna get to that. I want to address one thing before we start talking about that, though, which I'll do after this. I think the point of this game is to say revenge is bad, right? There's that saying.
That is the point.
There's the saying.
Moral of the story at the end.
It's something like, if you seek revenge, you should dig 2 graves.
Okay.
Is the saying, right? Meaning that, and this is, I guess, from people that got revenge and it ruined everything, right? What happens. But that mainly, even if you do get revenge, like it's never, like maybe it's never worth it or whatever. I don't think that's ever going to stop us. I was never going to not. If they gave me the option to kill Abby, all the way at the very end, I was going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and we will come to that. But I think the game keeps trying to tell us, like, revenge is not the way. And it's not that some people don't deserve it, but that to get what you need jeopardizes everything. Like,
it costs too much.
Exactly. Which, you know, I kind of get, because it costs Abby everything, it costs Ellie everything, right? And both of them go after revenge. And, you know, I get it. I just, you know, it's not it sort of thing.
All the way through, I was saying, like, I want revenge. I want revenge for Ellie. I want revenge for everything she did to Joel. And I was hunting Abby down because I really wanted to. Yep. And there was one moment at the theater right before everything went to shit and we started playing as Abby again, where Tommy was trying to, like, convince Ellie to, like, it was like...
I was going to, if it was like a pick your own ending, I leave and go and find Abby.
Exactly. And that's actually one of the criticisms, one of the big things I think could have changed the whole game, and I'll explain that towards the end and whatnot. I thought, at that moment, oh man, don't give up now, we're so close. But if they do, then I'm like, okay, at least we all get to go back happy back to Jacksonville, and we've learned a couple of lessons along the way. It wouldn't be a resolution, but that would have been something. It's borne a heavy cost.
Yeah. By that point, we've killed, like 4 or 5 of Abby's friends at this point, right? Like, it's a good chunk of people. Oh no, actually, it's everyone but Abby, isn't it?
Pretty much. Everyone important and whatnot. A ton of WLF people. Owen, Mel's
all
been
the
killed.
Named characters are dead, including the Doge, which we should talk about separately. Oh, I know.
The dogs!
I know. God. Just the sheer number of dogs you have to kill is
the people on the stream kept a counter for how many dogs I killed just to make me feel shitter.
Bastards. So, you know, I'm okay with the way Joel ends. I don't mind that. The one final thing before we switch to Abby. Other people have problems about, like, you know, the game. Like, there's this weird thing when you're climbing over the gate and you're jumping across stuff. No one would really do that, right? Like, you'd find a way around or a hole in the wall or something. Yeah, I get it, but it's also cinematic and it's a game. But the point is the gameplay, right? It's not Uncharted, and they didn't do too much more of that, where you have to climb up the thing and jump across the boxes and then jump on that thing you nearly slip.
Yeah. You
know, I'm glad we did it once. It was like a change of pace and levels and stuff. But so that's one thing, right? They say, the characters don't make reasonable decisions. They make a couple unreasonable decisions. For the most part, I think it's pretty good. So, in the theatre...
Yeah.
Some stuff goes down. Abby has tracked us down.
Yes.
And what happens? She sneaks up on Tommy.
There's a gunshot you hear in the back, and then Jesse and Ellie run out to see what's going on. Jesse goes straight out, gets his face blown off.
Yeah.
Fucking unreal. I was like, what? Jesse's just gone like that?
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't really get myself attached to you, but we were starting something.
That's one of the weird things in this game, which is that some of these people are so insanely tough and live through so much, and then they make you see, like, just how fragile human life is, right? Like, Joel, who's basically Iron Man or something, he's Batman to us, right?
Yeah.
Childhood hero kind of deal. Taken up by a chick with a golf club. Right? A chick that he saved. And it's like the fragility of life. Jesse's relatively, you know, well-experienced guy. He's helped a lot. Just one lucky shot, dead.
Yeah.
The only problem is that we've been through so much with Joel, and it was impactful. With Jesse, he's just like, oh, shit, that sucks, I guess.
I was like, oh.
And also, it's kind of a MacGuffin because there was the Dina-Jesse dynamic that could have messed things up. And I'm just like, I don't know how that would have played out. Did they just want to remove him from the picture? It felt a bit lazy.
Yeah, I was wondering as well, like, what was going to happen, because, like, He seemed reasonable enough, and I don't know,
Seemed
like
like a good dude.
Yeah, he seemed like a decent dude.
And I
thought
really
that maybe
enjoyed-
it was just going to be like, okay, you guys are together. Maybe I get to see the baby on the weekends or
he
something
seems
like
a
that.
good dude when it comes to stuff like that. I did enjoy his. There's a comment exchange between Ellie and Jessie where she's like, "Oh, you know, Joel used to think I had a crush on you." And he's like, "Oh, really?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm just not into your type." He's like, "Oh, Asians." She's like, "Yep, that's what I meant."
That's what I meant right there. Yeah, that's
cracked me
totally it. And I was just like, you can't say that. You can't say that.
And so basically, to save Tommy, Ellie puts down her gun.
Yeah.
Abby points her gun at her and says, the most impactful thing about the scene is she says, like, we let you live. We gave you a second chance and you squandered it, right? And then, hard cut, we're now child Abby and we play as her for the next 20 hours.
Yeah, what feels like fucking an eternity.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that gets me here is that, like, the whole story of Ellie going up to this and all of the flashbacks that we got with Joel and whatnot, the flashback at the Space Museum, the Natural History Museum and whatnot.
Incredible.
I was like, if I ever have a daughter, I want to be like this, like Joel is to Ellie right there.
I was completely opposite. I was like, if I ever have a daughter, how can I ever meet this bar?
It's true.
Right? Like, he's so good, especially that scene where, you know, you pick the helmet as Ellie, you get in. We did The Boy and the Beast for Anime Club, and I got choked up.
Yeah.
I got just as choked up. And I'd already seen this. This is where I stopped watching your stream.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure. I saw the first flashback, and where I decided to play the game was I said, I don't care what else is in the game. They've understood the relationship.
Yeah.
They still understand. We still have the Ellie Joel relationship that I was invested in.
Yeah.
It's still here. They still get it. I will play it.
Okay.
But that scene in the...
It was so touching. The flashbacks were so... And that's the thing. That's why Joel's death at the beginning made sense in a couple of times. People were telling me, they should have put it later. And at that point, I was like, do you know what? I feel like it was in a good spot because then it makes these flashbacks mean something.
They're much more touching. It doesn't matter. If Joel's already there, well, we've got more memories to make with him.
Yeah.
But now that he's gone... We only have these things to relive.
Yeah.
And we get to see Joel in peacetime. Because we've never seen Joel in peacetime.
I was going to say, because we've only ever seen him killing and murdering and whatnot, and him having to survive protecting Ellie, and having to do really terrible shit along the way. And then also, if we had seen that memory, it would have just been, that's a really touching memory. That's really cute and whatnot. But it's like, this is the guy we're not going to ever see again.
Right, exactly. It really rubs salt in the wound.
God, that's so
one thing I
impactful.
didn't tell you is I got my girlfriend started on The Last of Us. We played the first little bit. She didn't seem to care too much about the opening scene, which really bugged me.
Is she like a stone-hearted person?
I was like
a
stone cold, but I think she wasn't really paying too much
attention. You're like there when you see the thing, you're like...
Do you know what it, Do you know what it was? It's because she's not really a video game player, so she's like walking around doing stuff like this, and I feel like she didn't really get involved with Sarah the way we've been playing for 10 years, so we had a relation. I don't know, it was smoother, and she died a lot of times trying to get to that bar early on, so I feel like she's maybe frustrated. But and I didn't mention this to you because I didn't want you to know that I'd enjoyed the game and got her started on The Last of Us. But the very first thing we see Joel doing after the time skip, which by the way I wasn't sure what year it was. After the Last of Us 1, it's a 20-year time skip. So Last of Us 1 starts in 2033.
Oh.
Right, because it's 2013 when the
Damn,
outbreak happens with Sarah.
I didn't know that. And then
it goes 20 years later. So when we meet Ellie, it's 2033. So it's probably 2037-ish when all this goes down. Just for anybody, if you're wondering, like, how old is Abby? Like, none of these people know the old world, right? The very first thing we see him do is like a gang turf war deal, where someone's taken their delivery and stuff, right?
Yeah.
We have never seen Joel in peacetime. And the only time we've seen him in peacetime is riding that horse with Tommy, where we presume it's peacetime.
Yeah.
And then these flashbacks.
Yeah.
So I actually, because of the flashbacks and stuff like that, I'm cool with Joel's death being where it was. Mm-hmm. I will say the cut to Abby is very jarring.
It's so jarring. It's at this
one
point,
of my top 3 immersion-breaking moments.
It really does break the immersion completely because we go from just like everybody who's watching obviously knows this and whatnot. We go from so things are starting to die down. We're starting to see that maybe revenge isn't the best deal. Maybe we should reconsider things. Oh shit, there's something over there. Immediately, Jesse dead. Oh my god, they've got a gun to Tommy's head. Oh my god, she's gonna kill me. What are we gonna do at this moment? This is the bitch that killed the person that I care most about in this world.
Person we care. Joel's in like my top 10 favorite people in real life.
And then bump, let's go back and now let's play as child, the person who murdered the person we love.
The thing is, it's not even a Mexican standoff. If it was them, you know, like guns pointed at each other.
Yeah,
Oh shit!
it's
What's
just
gonna
holding it
happen?
against her.
Yeah, so it's like we need that resolution. There's no pause. If they both have guns on each other, because you know Tommy gets shot, but we don't see it then.
We don't even see it then.
Later, right? If Tommy got shot and they had their guns to each other, that's a better way to do it. Because now we're like, okay, for a second there is this pause, but it doesn't exist when it happens. It's very jarring. It takes you out a lot.
It seems like at that moment the only thing that's left is the one trigger pull to Ellie, and then that's the end of the story.
Right.
And it's just like, what the fuck? You can't just
then
end
I
it
need to
there.
Like, I feel like if Ellie gets shot and that's the end of the game, that's a fine way to end it. It's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wouldn't write it that way, but that you could end
At least
the
you
game
get a
with.
resolution right then, instead of having to sift through another 10 to 15 hours of gameplay
exactly.
just so you can get back to that point. And that's what it felt like.
I agree.
The next bit I was like, why am I playing? And you got it on stream as well. I was like, why am I playing as this chick? I do not care about this person. Why am I playing as her? I get the reason afterwards why we played as her, so we can understand why she attacked Joel in the first place, why she killed him, why she went for seeking revenge.
I actually have a problem with it.
We'll get to it just in a second, but I was like, okay, I understand now at the end towards why it is, but it wasn't compelling enough for me. I understand that her father was killed by Joel, even though she fully understood. She was old enough to understand why Joel killed her father.
The point is, revenge is bad.
It's true, it's true. But she understood why, and over those many years, there should have been some sort of acceptance. She should have been able to move past it in that time, but she didn't. Okay, that's fine. But even then, there was a reason for everything. She was willing to let the little girl die so they can see if they can find a cure for everybody and whatnot. So you knew that there was a reason on your side. You have to understand there was a reason on the other side as well. And I really hated having to play as someone who, again, killed the person that we loved in this game.
So I immediately knew what was happening. I never went, why are we playing? So I knew exactly what they were doing.
You figured it out?
Oh, straight away. As soon as it cuts to, as soon as we see child Abby, I'm like, I know what they're doing. I knew exactly what. And I called it beforehand.
But even then, was it enough for you?
Well, so I'll get to it.
Go on.
For the record, and this isn't like a pat on the back, I called it before. I actually sent you a text saying I'm really worried they're going to try and make Abby relatable. So I knew exactly what they were doing. I'm going to say this just up front. We knew Joel was into some dark stuff. I also liked seeing some of that stuff, in where the two dudes were tied up with where Tommy had.
That was cool.
Yeah. So
the way, if you write down where this person is on a map and whatnot, and then you tell me if it doesn't match, well, shit, bang, bang. But
right,
exactly. The same.
So, we got to learn a lot about Joel, the dark. We knew he'd done dark stuff, but we got to see that there was a lot more to it and stuff like that. So that was cool. We knew Joel had done dark stuff. First thing he's doing is a gangster outlaw type stuff, right? Yeah. We knew he was into dark stuff. He takes Ellie to do this thing. We know what it means when he rescues her at the end, right?
Yeah.
Joel burns a planet for his daughter.
Yeah, essentially.
And we love him for it.
Yeah.
There's no relatable in this. You don't kill our Joel and then go, but she had a good reason, and isn't she just a good person? No. If I had the option, she dies. If it was an option to let her up out of the water or not, she dies. She dies. You killed Joel. I know he burnt the world. I know that. I know he did dark stuff. I know he killed your father. But he's my Joel. He's our Joel. So I felt that was I actually don't mind what they did with it, but I felt it was a mistake. I think the game probably could have been better by being 15 hours shorter. However, playing as Abby, I have complaints. They're part of my cons list. So one of the first things is her dad. Look how amazing and friendly he is, and he saves a zebra to it's something that stands out, and look at it's a bit different to being a horse or something. I don't know. It was a bit heavy-handed. I actually have a problem with it being her dad being the guy as well. I think her revenge story would have been way more compelling if her dad was a medical nurse. He wasn't even supposed to be in there. He wasn't even the guy. He was just trying to help stuff out.
I agree. That would have been
just
better.
very cliche.
It was just a guy on the side.
Right.
That just happened to be killed by Joel and
Exactly.
whatnot.
The Joel
It's
came in
he
and
was
was killing
completely
indis-
innocent.
Exactly.
Completely
Exactly.
innocent.
And like, don't get me wrong. Even in that case, he would have been helping a doctor kill a little girl, right?
Yeah.
However, if it was instead of him being the guy,
Yeah.
right? He's a medical nurse. He's in there just trying to make sure this operation goes as well as possible. He wasn't even supposed to be in, but he got called up because look, like this big thing's happening. We can save the world, right? Instead, it's very cliche that he's the guy, and now that he's dead, even if they could get her back, they can never make it. It's not as tragic as just being like kind of wrong place, wrong time. It makes Joel look like he's just killing more indiscriminately if it's a nurse than if it's the guy gonna do the thing.
That would have actually changed my mind a lot. If it was just Joel just killed like a random innocent-ish person.
I'm
on the
still
side,
fucking killing her.
and I would have been like, okay, I see why she went for revenge because some chick or some guy had killed her husband, her dad.
As far as Abby's concerned, it makes no difference. Yeah. As far as us, the audience, are concerned, it's just far too cliche that he's not only like the greatest virologist in the world, but also her father. Like, it's not as tragic. He's clearly the target, right? Whereas I just think it would have made it more relatable and we'd have more passion for the revenge or could understand it better.
Yeah.
If it seemed more unfair.
Yeah.
It's clearly not unfair.
How did you feel about the relationship between Owen and Abby?
It's pretty realistic. Like I feel like it's not a work of fiction in a sense. I don't really care though.
That's the problem for me. So I was thinking that I bought that they were, earlier on in their life they knew each other and they grew more attached because they hung out together. That's cool. That's totally fine. Everything like that. But I just didn't care about them. I didn't care that they were in love. I didn't care that they had this sex scene at the end or towards the end and whatnot. I was like, okay, you guys banged, no problem. And then also you've got your Mel on the other side that's pregnant with your child. So what is going on? Why are you even having sex with her? Are you leading her on? I didn't really buy their relationship. I didn't care about their relationship. I bought it, but I
actually prefer their relationship and buy it or care more about it at the end, where there is that weird sex scene, and I did find it a bit weird because I felt like it was much more compelling in the sense that he feels kind of like a drip. Forget who they are. Like understanding that there's a character that like is kind of AWOL and kind of feels adrift, and she's in this weird spot. She came after him, but he also has this kid with a woman who's like his settling woman, it's a safety net woman, and he kind of wants this one chick, and then they bang, and then they regret it after, or at least she regrets it. That whole set of like emotions and stuff, I much preferred. I felt like there was more investment there because there was the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys. But ultimately, I don't care about Owen. I don't give a fuck. The most I cared about Owen was that he'd knocked up Mel, and Mel was pregnant when she died. But I don't care that she died because she was involved in killing Joel. Yeah. And don't be pregnant when you kill my Joel. Or you and potentially your baby die.
Pretty much.
Absolutely sucks. I hate that. If these characters are real, I would hate that Ellie has that like weighing on her conscience. But you shouldn't have killed Joel.
Yeah. How did you feel about that bit? When Ellie killed Owen and killed Mel, it was totally self-defense. Like all she wanted was the location of
self-defense,
Abby.
Self-defense. She's gone all the way to get them.
She was looking for Abby though. She going, show me on the map where Abby is, and then they start attacking. She kills Mel, fucking knife to the throat, fucking really visceral shit.
That'll do it.
And then finds out she's pregnant afterwards, and she visibly is broken by that.
I really like how it affects Ellie because obviously Dina's pregnant as well. There's that overlap and that mirror image.
It means something to her more than just, well, not just killing a baby or anything like that, but killing a baby because someone else she knows is pregnant.
Personally, I do not look at that as Ellie killing like a pregnant woman. I look at that as Mel having an abortion way before it actually happens. And I'm not even joking. Like the way we're set up to appreciate Joel and this revenge story, and the way it goes down, like it didn't have to go down that way. And she's WLF and she knows about. I know she's a medic, but like this didn't have to go that way. She's after Abby, and Mel hates Abby as well. Yeah, like you shouldn't have been involved in Joel.
It's definitely she shouldn't have been there, and she shouldn't have gone out doing the things that she's doing if she is pregnant.
It's not tragic
because she has to think about herself. I'm not worried about that. The only bit that I actually felt anything was about was just
Ellie's
you could
reaction to it.
tell
Ellie's
Ellie
reaction to
was emotionally, mentally broken at that point. And I was like, oh my God, that was so well done. And I felt for her at that point, man.
Mel's death is, as far as I'm concerned, the way it feels, despite that she's a pregnant woman, it's the same as Jesse's death.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's not great.
So Mel's dead. Great. No, we don't care.
Yeah, like she's a pregnant woman, but also in this world, I presume pregnant women die a fair amount and die in childbirth and all that stuff, right? Like that. It's not a big deal to me. I mean, she's pregnant. Naturally, you're like, that's not great, but I don't have any investment in it.
We didn't have an investment in the character.
The biggest thing about it is Ellie's reaction to it, which I understand because of Dina and stuff, and presumably she's not a murderer.
And also, it's also as a human thing as well. It's like if
she's not a murderer.
If
she's
I
not
was to
murdering
kill,
women,
if I was to kill a pregnant woman,
it'd be very, very
I
bad.
would be fucking dead. I would be dead on the inside. And I was
it would be
thinking
very
about
bad.
the person, one of the people that we love in this game, doing that exact same thing, and then also the way that it was acted, the way that the music went. It was so perfect. I think it was really. It shook me in a way that no game has ever shook me.
But only because of Ellie.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It doesn't the scene.
That's the only thing that mattered.
If it had been Lev had come in and shot her, for example, or a Scar,
no one would care.
I wouldn't care.
No,
right? It's only because of Ellie's reaction to what has happened that gives it any weight. Then what else is there about Abby? I actually enjoy the gameplay as Abby. I like the stuff with the Scars. I like the stuff with Lev.
It was all very well done. I mean, it was the same sort of polish that was on the Ellie portions of the game, except with Abby.
Yep.
And I did like the whole Scars, getting to see these.
Yeah.
My God, those whistling motherfuckers! They need to be all fucking exterminated. They're all terrible. They're chasing you, and I'm like, oh, I want to kill every single one of you motherfuckers.
I will say, like, even though there's no reward for killing stuff, I tended to go after more Scars than WLF because I just dislike them.
I'm clearing this area. It's like the clickers. It's like we're exterminating all the clickers. We're exterminating all the Scars.
I did appreciate quite a lot, actually, seeing the WLF and seeing the Scars, and also then in relation to Jackson as functioning society. So what previously it's like, oh, these bands they're just like bandits and they hold up in this place, right?
Yeah.
A bit meh. Seeing the WLF, seeing that, like, one, all the soldiers are training and stuff, and then two, that they have the functioning society. There's people washing stuff, they're growing things, they have they're farming, they're patrolling their like it's a functioning society, and I really appreciated seeing that, because they're not just nameless faceless NPCs being spawned in. Now they're like a functioning society. I also appreciated that Isaac wasn't just some sociopathic evil bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? He was a militaristic, but he wasn't. I mean, I know he's torturing people, but he's not a straight psychopath.
Yeah.
Right? He's not just in it to be the bad guy. He's looking to look out for his people and stuff. He makes reasonable decisions, which I appreciated. I will say again, lending to my problem with Abby and her size and stuff, what they get given as a ration for lunch is a burrito each. It isn't enough. It isn't enough.
It was pretty bad.
I did also appreciate seeing the Scars again. Like they're on this island. They're set up. They have an agrarian society. They grow things. They have warriors. Like I liked seeing that these things were functioning societies.
Yeah.
Okay. Lev and Yara.
Yeah. Let's talk about them.
I like Yara. Yara's fine.
Yara's cool.
Lev is trans.
Yeah.
Lev was born a girl named Lily. And I found the
shaved all her hair and then decided to call herself Lev.
So I found playing through it quite confusing, because I'm like, why are they calling Lev Lily, for one? That's bizarre. And so I'm starting to feel weird about it. Then we hear a couple of things. So Yara tells Abby, when Lev told me how he felt on the inside, I told him to keep it to himself, blah, blah, blah. And then there's another line where she explains to Abby that Lev was given a job. He wanted to be a warrior, but the elders decided that he would be the wife of an elder. That was to be his position in life. I actually initially thought I didn't catch it completely, and I thought I misheard it, and I misremembered it going forward, where that they had said his life, he was to spend his life becoming an elder. That's how I remembered it, and so it felt a bit weird. And my big beef isn't that Lev is trans, although I also don't believe that. I feel like in a society where it's very much like hunter-gatherer, survival of the fittest kind of stuff, including in the WLF, that you probably don't have time to to be trans
To
or body
reflect on yourself
dysmorphic or whatever, right? You're just really mostly worried about staying alive.
Being alive, yeah.
Right. And I was very confused as to why it would matter that he was given a different job, but then shaved his head, because he's shaved his head and wants to be one of the warriors, but isn't. Like that's a slap on the wrist. That isn't death.
Yeah, they very much reacted very differently to that. It was like, you shaved your head? Well, that's it. Death to you. It's like, well, that doesn't make no sense.
My real problem with it is that it's never explained. I do not believe that Abby would just be like, oh, cool, well, I guess he's a he then, right? I think she could have had the explanation. I actually needed it because I didn't catch it straight away. Again, mishearing a couple of things and misremembering it. Like, she could have said, because she says to Yara, like, I heard some of the villagers calling him Lily, and he's always referred to as he. And I get like, oh, it's respectful of the pronouns. Dude, you're in 2037 in like a survival of the fittest type zombie apocalypse. I do not think it would be unreasonable for her to tell Abby, Lev was born Lily, my sister.
Yeah.
And feels like a boy and shaved his head and feels like a boy and he wanted to be a warrior. He told me he feels like a boy and I support him, But also it doesn't make sense. Like, it's very specific that he's trans because Yara's a badass warrior chick. There's plenty of badass warrior chicks in the Scar. So the big issue is that he's trans, which I don't care, but like, I just don't believe that Abby's like, cool, well, whatever. Like, I think she goes, well, is he a boy or a girl? I think I need to know what his biology is. It sticks out because they never address it. That's the thing that sticks out. She never says, look, he was born Lily, my sister. But he's Lev, my brother. Fine, we now know he's trans. We never actually told, and I found it very confusing the first playthrough.
That is the confusing part. So a lot of people picked up that I was hearing Lev's voice, and I was like, that sounds a bit feminine to me, and it made me think straight away. I was like, okay, so
he's 14 and his balls haven't dropped.
It's true.
Where I felt.
It's true. Okay, that could be another. And I was a couple of times I was like she, and then they were like, no, it's he, and I'm like, wait, did I miss a story beat or something like that? They don't ever mention it. It's not a huge deal to me at the end of the day because
I don't care.
These two characters didn't play that much of a role. They did play a role in the fact that Abby then becomes a bit more human, and then she starts to care about someone other than herself and this revenge part.
But we see her with not to relate Lev to Alice the dog, but we see that she has a caring side to her. Yeah. We see her speak to the Mexican dude's dad.
Yeah.
She's very caring. Yeah. We see her play with the dogs, very caring, and dogs seem to like her. That presumes she's not evil, right?
I wish they had, like you said, I wish they just come out right and said it. They were like, okay, Lev was born a girl, Lily, and it felt like she was a boy. That explains it, and then we're clear going forward.
My other thing is that there's too many, because ultimately Lev is now another strong woman, right? Like it's bizarre, and like we have no problem with strong women in combat. I do not think there would have been any issue with Yara saying, look, when Abby says, I heard some of the villagers calling him Lily. She says, he was born Lily, my sister, but he told me how he feels on the inside, and he is Lev. Done. Yeah. We know he's trans, cool, and Abby can just be like, cool, whatever, I don't give a fuck, because that's how I felt. Cool, whatever, I don't give a fuck. He's a badass with a bow, but I feel like some explanation isn't unreasonable, and it's the fact that they never explain it that's actually the issue. If they'd explained it, I don't give a fuck. It's a kid with a bow. Doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. It's gonna fucking stick an arrow in you and you're dead.
At the end of the day, the focus of the story is this other huge thing over here.
I do not care, but it's only
just didn't explain it.
It's only an issue because it's never explained, and I do feel like most people in this world are gonna need that explained.
Yeah.
Most people today need it explained. And again, if someone goes to me, oh yeah, look, like if I meet somebody and their mum calls them Lily and I've been calling them Larry.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what's up with that? And they go, I was born Lily, but I'm Larry. Whatever, bro.
Cool.
Like, are we jamming poker or not?
Yeah.
I don't care, but like a basic explanation as to why you're being called what. Like, if someone goes to me, well, why did your mum call you this, but like Ed calls you Sheps? It's a fucking nickname. Literally everyone but my mum calls me Sheps. Cool. So what do you want to be called? Well, what do you think? If everyone but my mum calls me Sheps, like Sheps. Yeah. Like, people, boys on Discord have asked, what's your real name? I'm like, I mean, I could tell you, it's not a problem, but
everyone calls me Sheps.
I really genuinely go by Sheps.
Yeah.
So, like, Sheps is the name.
Yeah.
That's my name.
So after all of this goes on, we finally get back to, after playing hours and hours of Abby, we get back to the theatre, and she's pissed.
Yeah.
Owen's been killed. Mel's been killed, even though she doesn't really give a shit about that.
Cares,
and also after that, they go after Yara, is it at this point where Yara gets killed?
Shit, what happens? Lev... No, wait. What happens? How do we get here?
So what happens is that Lev goes, I want to go back to the settlement that they have. And Yara goes, let's go after them. And they get
before the theatre, right?
I think it's before the theatre, yeah.
Yeah, because that's why she's on the island. So before the theatre, Lev disappears and they realise he's gone after his mum. So Abby and Yara go after him. Yeah. They collect him. Yara dies, but they get off the island.
The way that Yara dies as well is quite fucking big as well. Like at that point,
I enjoyed it.
I was like,
at this point, I'm somewhat invested in Yara and Lev.
Exactly.
And Abby has been made out to look like a good enough character, and I do appreciate that. And this is one of the problems with her character model. Is throughout this game, for the rest of it, while you're playing as her, it's not her like brute strength, which by the way still isn't going to be as much as most men. Just a fact. It's not her brute strength that's her thing. It's the same as Ellie. It's her creative thinking, the fact that she uses those bombs and tactics and stuff and good, planning. And it's her experience that mostly is the reason that she does well. So again, her character model brings me out of it. But we get there. There's that one scene where you're found out the WLF are chasing you. I think it's just after Yara's dead, and in particular, there's that one thing with all the levels.
Because they go to get the medicine and stuff like that, and she tries to get in, and it finds out that there's what's the guy's name? Is it Isaac? Isaac radios into them. It's like, well, capture Abby, and we're going to take her back and want her because she's a deserter and stuff like that.
At the hospital.
Yes.
So,
go on.
The Rat King.
Oh yes, so we are in the hospital part, aren't we? So we go down into the lower levels because we're trying to find some medicines, specific medicines for Yara, who's fucked up her arm. I will say just before we get to that, I do like how, as we track her with Ellie, how her story of being just a bit ahead and knowing that Ellie is just behind, and why those clues that Ellie gets end up being where they are when she gets there. Quite nice and
that is well done. So she ends up at the hospital because Yara's arm's smashed and they need to amputate it.
They fucking hammer into her.
Clip her wings.
It's like clip her wings. I was like, whoa, what we clipping? Bang, bang. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. And all she does is first of all is put it in a sling. I'm like, that's fucked.
That's fucked.
That's not going to heal. Yeah. You put it in a sling and you'll be right.
Goes, I need to set the bone. I'm like, bitch, I'm sorry.
There's no setting that.
Yeah, like, I don't think that's how it works. But so basically they need to do an amputation. And where they are in the aquarium, that isn't even close to what they need. Yeah. So she has to go to the hospital to get some surgical equipment, I presume antibiotics and stuff, right?
And they go down into the bottom where there's tons of infected, and it has been infected for a long time.
Ground zero for Seattle.
Yeah. And it goes, there's a ton of bloaters there. They're shamblers they're called in this one. Shamblers.
No, there are bloaters as well. They're different. So shamblers are a new enemy type.
Okay. Shamblers, there's bloaters,
what
there's
about
runners.
Stalkers? How did you feel about the stalkers?
Stalkers were quite cool. The only thing is they seemed a little bit too sentient to me.
I agree.
Sometimes they were like around the corner.
Too sneaky, yeah. They were a little bit too sneaky, but they were also a little bit too easy to deal with. If you spotted them and you saw it, you just headshot it with a silencer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, I got to a point where anything in the wall was getting a headshot.
Yeah.
I was so sick of that. After the second time, I'm like, yeah, boom, boom, boom. I don't care that I'm using up these silencers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this huge, fucking colossal infected, the Rat King. How scared were you playing against this fucking thing?
Two things. First thing.
Is one of those answering the question?
It is, I swear. First thing, I was really proud of myself. I patted myself on the back. I'm like, oh, cool, it's a Rat King, because a Rat King's an actual thing.
Okay.
And then at the end, when you can check all like the character models, I unlocked it. I'm like, oh fuck, it's called the Rat King. I thought it was going to be called the Goliath or something. I'm like, it's a Rat King. I felt really smart, but I wasn't. That thing's terrifying.
It is.
And even worse, I actually feel like it would have been a really fun and like engaging kind of boss battle. Until that other motherfucker pulls out. That thing can fuck off.
It like proper got down on the ground. I'm like, did I kill it?
It's like a fucking armoured
Jesus!
Stalker.
And it just comes off and runs off to the side. I'm like, yo, what the hell? This is not what I needed in the middle of this boss fight.
It was so fucked.
It was so bad. I had the flamethrower at that point and I was trying to gun it down. It just kept coming. And I was like,
health both these things have.
Mate. Fucking madness.
Mate.
It was really scary and I loved the way it was done, especially when you got into the back of the ambulance and then you hear...
Yeah. Oh my god, that reveal
And it's like,
as you get in there, as you get to that point, to get to the car park, she's like, what the fuck did this? And you see these doors and they've been like pushed apart.
Yeah.
And you're like, you couldn't say, you're like looking at this going, was this like 5 shamblers walking through this at once? Again, look, I know I've been beefing out like for realism and like Abby's caloric intake and stuff. If you overanalyze this, the fact that it's like still alive, ridiculous, right? Even if it's a fungus or whatever. I just love the idea that the longer these things are alive, like
the worse they get.
Yeah,
they
somehow,
evolve
like,
into something else.
Right, and there is another question that's brought up, which is that Ellie has never seen a shambler before. And so they have this question, wait, there's more of these things, like they're changing. And so I have these questions as to why they're not seeing these things in Jackson, or where they are. Why are there new things? I also like that.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I actually like that they don't explain it. Mm-hmm. And the explanation that we really get for the Rat King is that, look, I guess the longer these things exist,
they just keep going. That's
right.
what I always assumed anyway. Because, I mean, even from the beginning game, it was like, okay, so first of all, you're a runner.
Yeah.
And then you eventually progress into
Clicker.
the fungus just keeps growing into clicker, and then it grows into the bloater. I just always assumed that in the first place, so it didn't seem like it was that jarring to me when I saw it. I was like, this is a fuck off thing that's been down here for a long time.
That Rat King and that reveal,
yeah,
mate.
It was so Resident Evil as well. The slow running, walking towards you, but like powerful running. It was like, I was like, oh, gee, this thing. And at one time I got into, like, it was like a hallway. Yeah. And there was no exit on the other side. I think there was a wall that I missed the first time. And I was like, well, I guess I'm fucked.
I guess I die now.
I just died.
So you're like, oh, cool. This hunting, right? This double-barreled shotgun, I guess this is it, yeah.
And the way that it kills you as well, because it's a big hulking thing, picks you up, arms and legs, rips you apart. I was like, this is really insane. And it was one of the first times that I felt genuinely like my heart pounding in my chest.
It was the only time in the game that I really felt like scared.
Yeah.
Not scared.
But still,
it's not a horror, but...
I just want to bring up one point. The sound of the audio design of clickers in the first place are absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
Top notch. Whoever thought of the idea was to be like, let's make this weird, clicky, high-pitched voice.
Right, because the fungus is over its eyes, so it's figured out. Yeah.
That is amazing. You deserve all the raises possible. And then when they design this, which is just to basically instill fear in you that you're being chased down by a huge monster, again, another amazing
Everything
thing.
about the design of this fight, so like the fact that you are where you are, the amount of lighting that you have, the sound design, the map design, the fact that is there some water around your feet? I believe there is. I can't remember, but
probably in places,
maybe, like the fact that it's going through offices and going through walls, but they only exist for a certain time because it can break through them because they're just thin, like drywall type stuff. Its design, like the way it moves and the sound design for it, the way it makes noise, its animations,
top notch.
And then the fact that one pulls out, and again, it's one of the more difficult, because if you're not, those stalker things are actually quite difficult to fight if it grabs you, you know, and it's really irritating because they also don't show up when you're listening because they're sneaky.
Yeah,
mate, this fucking thing. But and I have to say, the fact that once you kill the king thing, the other thing is still alive or could be. Like, I don't know if you killed yours first.
Yeah. I killed the big one first.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can change the order, but if you don't kill the little one first, or maybe it gets up and runs away, that when you get to the next area, it's still there.
Yeah, it did for me as well.
I'm just like, I've still got to kill this thing, and this thing could still easily do me in. So yeah, I have to say that I do feel like that's the moment where I decided I cared a bit about Abby. Like what because of how difficult that fight was and how invested in not dying I was.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay, cool. I'll finish playing out as Abby. I don't hate it, but up until that point, I'm just like, you know, Lev's cool and it's interesting, and I'm learning about the world, and I'm glad they did it, but I don't care. Yeah. And ultimately, at no point would I ever have not killed her, despite the fact that she has a good reason and Joel stopped the cure. Like, I don't care. He's Joel, right? He burnt the planet, and we loved him for it anyway. We don't care. Yeah. So that's okay. I have one other problem actually.
Go on.
This is my big problem.
Say one other problem, only one. Okay,
so
well that's good.
My three big problems are the jerkiness of jumping to Abby.
Yeah.
And how cliche her.
I think everyone has that problem, yeah.
And in particular, how cliche her dad's things.
Yeah.
I feel like my version, which is a tiny change, would have made it a lot.
Yeah.
Not good, but better.
A lot better, yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have done it in the first place. that her character model as well. But by the way, she's fantastically acted. Her acting's fantastic.
Yeah, Laura Bailey is actually a fantastic voice actor and motion capture actor.
At the start of the year, when lockdown started to look like it was happening, I started on YouTube. There's a series of Dungeons and Dragons, which is why I mentioned the Dungeons and Dragons game, called Critical Role.
And she's
the
in
channel name. She's one of the voice actors. It's all professional, and so is Ashley Johnson, who plays.
Oh,
Ellie.
okay. Oh yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. Yeah.
And these are all professional voice actors, and they basically play a Dungeons and Dragons thing, and they're like 3 hour long episodes, and they literally did their 100th episode this week.
Yeah.
I'm completely up to date because I had stuff to watch it. They're fantastic. I'm a big fan of Laura Bailey and a big fan of Ashley Johnson. Acting wise, incredible from both of them, those two, from everybody. The game's very well acted. I just don't care about Abby.
Yeah.
It's the character that's the problem, not the acting.
And your third?
So, this game ends like 42 times.
Yeah.
Before it ends. Yeah. There are so many times where like, I guess that's the end. Well, that's the end. Fade to black. This is the end. Zoom back in as Abby. Fade to black and I'm back as Ellie. Like, it ends too many times. Way too many times. Or like we come back and it's she's at the ranch with Dina. Cool, this is the ending. No, Tommy arises. I'm not going to do the revenge. That's the ending. I'm going to do the revenge. That's the ending. And then we're back as Abby. Oh my god, it just ends too many times. Just pick one and don't do the weird like and fade to black and fade back in.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. It just ends so many times. It could have ended from the theatre as Ellie all the way to the end. It ends about 50 times. It really bugs me. Oh, one UI thing I just remembered.
Go on.
When you get back to the theatre as Abby,
Yeah.
and Ellie is stalking you, which is cool because she's fully kitted up.
Yeah.
She's a bit jerky. Feels like an NPC.
I guess.
I feel like she should have felt more like a boss fight.
Okay.
And I didn't feel that she was.
I get that criticism.
Yeah, I felt she was. I felt it was. I think Ellie should have been harder to fight than a bloater.
Yeah.
You know? And needed some
The
real
only
thinking
interesting
about.
thing that she ever did was put down traps and stuff like that. And I was like, that's quite interesting. That's different to every other type of NPC, but she did feel like an NPC.
Was there any equipment as either of them that you never used? I never used the smoke bomb thing.
I used it once or twice, but never really that much. Yeah, it's not really that useful.
I used those trip mines when it came to like bloaters and stuff.
Put it down, make a noise, and lure them towards you, and just watch them die. Okay, so then we come back to them together, and we're back as Abby in the theatre. She blows off a part of Tommy's face, but you think Tommy's dead at that point. Tell me how you feel about this next stage right here, playing as Abby.
With Ellie stalking you.
With Ellie stalking. You're going after Ellie, basically.
Conflicted.
Conflicted is the nicest way that I would put it.
Yeah.
I actually hated this bit. I let Ellie kill me multiple times because I was like, I have zero motivation. Yeah. Even though you've explained the whole reason why Abby has come this whole way, why she's hunting Ellie, why she killed Joel in the first place, I still have zero motivation as to why I should be hunting Ellie, because she at least hasn't done anything to wrong me. She may have killed Owen, which again, you didn't set that up enough. We don't care. She killed Mel. We don't care. Killed a bunch of other people, like the Manny guy that apparently people say. People saying that he looks like Neil Druckmann, but apparently he wasn't based on Neil Druckmann.
Don't care.
Still, I didn't care about that character as well. Yep. Zero motivation at all for Abby to kill Ellie in my eyes.
Wasn't it Tommy that kills that Manny guy anyway?
Oh yeah, sorry, it is Tommy. My apologies right there. But she's still fueled by anger. That whole thing, I was like, I don't get why I'm supposed to be hurting Abby as Ellie in this position.
I'll tell you why I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted because it was cool to see Ellie being against us, knowing what a badass she is, having played her from 14 to like 20-ish, somewhere in that range, and done all the badass stuff I've done as Ellie, to now have her hunting me is cool.
That's a cool concept.
I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I did not enjoy it.
Executing it.
Yeah. I didn't like it. I also don't like... This is going to sound really cold. I don't like that Abby lets Dina live. I don't think it fits. And I think they do it specifically to say, look, she isn't at heart, she isn't that bad. She killed someone you love, but she's not evil. But I feel like also she is kind of not evil, but she's sadistic and she's she's now it's a revenge thing. She's trying to take things away from Ellie. She's no longer trying to kill one person in particular. Ellie's taken so much from her. Now she wants to take things from Ellie. Like, I don't know. They tried to make her too much of a protagonist, and she's not. That's not how she's set up to be.
The problem is that one sparing of the life doesn't fit with everything else that's happened.
I still don't care. She killed Joel.
She killed Joel, and just 5 seconds ago, she killed Jesse without even thinking about it. She shot Tommy in the face, and in that moment, we thought that Tommy was dead. By saving this one person, you think it's like, oh, well, all's forgiven.
I'll say one thing. Forgiven. I'll say that killing, I feel like, had she killed both Jesse and Dina, that she would have killed Jesse and murdered Dina. And I know it's a small... in terms of the words,
I get you, because he was running out. It wasn't really a cold-blooded kill. Yeah,
exactly. So I feel like that would be different. And I get that the point is that revenge bad and everybody loses and blah blah blah, and they worked so hard to make Abby like relatable and blah, whatever. End of the day, I don't care. I also don't buy that she maybe leaves Dina. I think I like that it's Lev that stops her. At least there's that. I do not enjoy at all Abby winning this engagement.
Yeah. I mean, it was scripted that way, and there's nothing we could even do about it. And that was the point. We was like, I didn't believe, I wasn't invested in, first of all, in her fighting Ellie. Yeah. So her winning was just as bad.
I agree.
And this is the point that I want to raise when it comes to this game, because all up until this point, especially when we was playing as Abby, I was like, why are we playing as the character that killed Joel? And then it comes to this point, so why are we playing as the character to kill the only person left in this game that we do like?
Yeah.
And at what point when they were playtesting, after they've written out this story and they were going, okay, and now we're going to play as the murderer who's going to kill the one person that people like. Everyone cool with that? No objections? No problem. Then we continue the rest. At what point did that happen?
I would have much preferred the scene goes like this. You play and do your absolute best, and
she still fucks you.
Ellie fucks you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that you're so much bigger and stronger because it's Ellie.
But
Abby, and let's say the game has to continue to the way it goes.
Yeah.
She somehow manages to survive.
Escape or something like that, right?
Yeah, like either she escapes
Yara
or Lev
puts a
saves
bow
the day.
in her shoulder and she's incapacitated and she runs away. Done.
Right, exactly. I would have way preferred that. And I just don't... It's so unsatisfactory and it just doesn't make sense.
And it makes the next part even worse, because the next part is very touching, because it's like, it's years later, the baby's been born.
Oh yeah, I guess it must be, right?
Yeah, because it goes to the farm now.
It's got to be at least a year or two.
Yeah, because the baby's grown up-ish now that it can hold its head up at least anyway. So they go to the farm. It's a beautiful, picturesque scene. There's an old tractor in the wheat field over there. Yeah. It's the biggest house on top of a hill in its own land. They've got their own sheep. Yeah. They're living their best life at this point. And Dina's in the kitchen. She's like washing the dishes and stuff like that.
He goes out to get the sheep in.
Get the sheep and stuff like that. It should be amazing, but it's after such a huge defeat. Yeah. And it's like, so did we lose and just give up then? Is that what happened?
It feels strange, especially because if it had ended where they leave the theatre, all four of them, and she'd gone, okay, I got enough. I hurt her enough. It will have to do.
Yeah.
And then settles down into her life, and then maybe Abby finds her.
Yeah.
Right? Because you know roughly where they live.
And also, if you because she knew about Jacksonville, so she could have come there.
Jackson,
and also,
I think it is. But
yeah. Is it Jackson?
I think it's just Jackson.
Jackson. Sorry,
I'm making too much Smallville.
Too much Smallville. And I'm not gonna say that's a bad thing. If it would have been she killed, because at that point she had killed Mel, so she killed a woman that was pregnant, which was shocking to her enough. That I could have believed and been like,
I agree.
I've done too much. I think I need to stop now. I would have been like, you didn't get revenge, but I understand why you've left now.
And again,
why you've given up
would
on
have
this
taken enough away from Abby.
Yeah.
Right? And it could have even progressed without Abby coming to find them. She's no longer like Abby and Lev go off and do their own thing. Yeah. And then she has the PTSD and realised that this is too unfinished. Yeah. You know, but it would have been a nice thing where like she could have left it. She had everything, but it's in her. The point is, and again, revenge bad, right? You lose everything if you go for too much revenge. I agree. I find it very unfulfilling. It's not good that you lose that fight and then you just go off and go to live happy ever after. And then this one time a broom falls over and you PTSD out.
So let's talk about that. So now she's back and she's trying to herd the sheep and whatnot and stuff like that. And she suffers some like massive PTSD moment where she's thinking about Joel's death, seeing flashbacks of Joel's bloody face on the ground, and it's so visceral. And at that point, I'm like, wow.
I believe that scene.
She's really fucked up. Like, this whole Abby thing has broken her core, her soul. Yeah. And I was like, we should have really got revenge then at that point, because at that point you don't know you're gonna go back. You're like, well, that's the end of that, isn't it? This is the end of the story.
There's too much left undone.
Yeah, and then Tommy comes back and says, so I kind of figured out where she is. She's over here, and they have that argument. Dina's trying to force Tommy out and whatnot. I'm like, Dina, you don't understand.
Tommy does a dick move. In fairness,
he does.
He says like, you
proper
promised
guilt.
this thing. Yeah, he does.
Proper guilt, and I'm like, okay, that's a dick move. Dina, you shouldn't be involved in this. I understand this is that you love her and stuff like that, but you're in no position to say anything right now.
No. I don't mind her kicking him out.
Kicking out is fine, but then she starts to give a go at Ellie, and I'm like, you say you love Ellie.
When?
But afterwards, she gets that she's got a look on her face and whatnot.
You mean when Ellie's packing to leave?
Well, this is just before she knows there's an idea on her face and stuff like that. And then when she packs to leave, she gives her more shit then. And I'm like, if you know Ellie at all, if you love her, if you care about her, then you know that this is weighing on her, that she is not the same person that you knew before because of everything that's happened. These moments, these PTSD moments are affecting her in such a strong way. I get that it's bad to go for revenge, but she needs to do it.
Forget that. I'm okay with Dina in this area because, kicking Tommy out when he oversteps is fine, and then she's looking out for her family, right? Like, functionally, we'll say that, and I think it's fair to say, Ellie is like the more masculine of the two. She probably takes the masculine roles, and in terms of, like physical jobs around the farm as well, right? She's probably much more handy, and she's much better at fighting and stuff like that. Not that they would have to fight, but I get that's the impression, right? That Dina's more the nurturing, look after the baby type, nesting type, and Ellie's the one that drives the tractor and herds the sheep and stuff. I'm sure there's a split, but that it's more Ellie as the
I get you.
Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I word this correctly, because I'm not saying that I'm not talking about their relationship. That in that sense, she doesn't want to be a single mother.
Yeah.
She's trying to protect her family unit. She's trying to protect Ellie because she has to go all the way to freaking California.
But then what happens when you see every day that the person you love, the girl you love, your girlfriend, your wife, whatever they choose to get married, whatever the situation is being destroyed from the inside out because of this one thing.
Again, and I do feel like Dina's approach here is defendable. I'm going to defend it.
Choose your words carefully.
Yeah, because I'm sure in this world there's plenty of people that have experienced tons of this. I mean, do you read all the letters that you find?
Yeah,
tons of fucked up shit.
Yeah, I have one thing about that, is that I love how some of the people are like, my last dying breath, I don't know if you're gonna come back for me, but I hope you do. If you don't, no problem. I hope you're well. By the way, the code to the safe is da. It's like, that's my last word. By the way, I did all the safes by ear. I was like, fuck these code find, and I'm like, I got you right there, gotcha.
I had to do a few, but I liked finding it. Mainly, I tended to find them first anyway, because I explore everything.
That's how it's supposed to be, I think. You're supposed to find them first, so they probably lay them out in a way that's like that.
I was like, I'm going to explore everything, and I'll circle back to the safe, because I just want to find everything.
But we're getting far off about
So with Dina, again, I think she's trying to protect her family unit. Everybody has experienced, I doubt there's a kid that's grown up without any form of suffering, right? I think there's plenty of people that lost loved ones or family or seen someone get eaten, shit like that. So I'm sure everybody's living with something like that, and she probably thinks it's something like that. Plus, Ellie is a very unusual character, right? Even for this world, Ellie and Joel, and I guess Tommy, not many people are that driven.
Yeah.
Right?
Everyone's just willing to just get by.
Most people are trying to get by. These are the types of people, and they exist in the world, and again are very rare, that you cross this one person, they will track you, they'll spend the rest of their lives making whatever you did wrong right. Mm-hmm. Ellie, Joel, Tommy. And actually even Tommy has to give up because he's too fucked, right? He knows he won't be able to actually complete the mission.
Yeah. And
I think the reality is that most people not being like that, what Dina's saying is completely appropriate. It's just the fact that it is Ellie. But and I feel for Dina, she doesn't want to be left. She doesn't want to deal with even more loss. She lost Jesse. She's presumably lost parents, sisters, all that sort of stuff, right? Yeah. More loss, and she wants its love, and she kind of probably feels, look, if you leave, you're not just leaving to get revenge, you're leaving me and I forget the name of the baby, but
JJ.
You know, you're choosing to risk me and JJ. That you won't come back to us. Therefore, as far as you're concerned, we're lost to you, right?
Do you know what? That makes it a bit more better in my head.
That's how I viewed it.
And while that, even though you've said that, and that does make sense to me, and I do feel like it. I'm just saying this, like, if I was in love with someone and something was eating them up inside, and I knew I couldn't do anything about it, I'd have to be like, if this is what you got to do, you got to do.
The last time,
I hope that it doesn't go in the shit way, but you've got to do it.
Think about the last
I trust
time,
you.
The last time it cost them Jesse, Joel.
Yeah. There's always going to be a high cost to
It's
this.
a high cost. And they both nearly died.
Yeah.
Right? It was a very high cost. So I can feel it. I'm on Team Ellie, so I don't give a fuck what Sabrina wants, right? But I can see how the character would feel that way. And then she goes off to California.
Yeah. Do you feel like this whole ending was like kind of tacked on?
I do.
I feel that way.
I do. I also feel like if you would feel even more so had you watched Tiger King, because the guy with the grey long ponytail is almost exactly the same as this one guy whose name I forget. It's like Doc something, but he's no joke a fucking cult leader.
Yeah.
And I mean, forget this guy in the game. The guy in the Tiger King.
Oh, in Tiger King.
He's straight up like a cult leader. It's very weird, very creepy. You should definitely watch it. But also, like, these guys are just tacked on as the baddies.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, they presumably are slavers, but it doesn't, like, what are the slaves doing? They're just keeping them. It doesn't feel like it's really fleshed out why they're there and what they're doing.
Yeah, they just seem like bad guys. And it's like, but what do they do?
Right. And
I don't get it.
There's letters that you find saying so-and-so got rewarded because they brought in enough live ones.
Yeah.
But it's like, what are they being used for? Are they trading them as, like, slave? And I get, okay, they're slavers, but I bet that's a fairly common practice in this world, right?
Yeah.
When you're out, when
and it's not like you need a merchant that sells slavers or something
Right.
at this time, right? It's so strange.
Like, I just don't. They were tacked on as the bad guys.
Yeah, this last bit was very tacked on. It felt like, I feel like maybe this was added a bit extra because they felt like it wasn't a resolution at the point that I said, where like if they went to the farm and that was the end of it, it wouldn't feel like it was enough.
No, I think the first ending, the 17th
ending,
was Ellie leaves the farm, fade to black.
Yeah.
Right? And you're just like, well, what happens?
Yeah.
And then they tack this whole extra bit on. Like, these guys are just too over the top. They've got clickers and runners just chained up and shit.
Yeah.
They're making trapping things for people and being slavers and stuff, and also they're all kitted up with like the best shit. Everybody else, even the WLF. I mean, actually, Abby gets an AK or something, which is cool.
Yeah.
But like these guys have suppressed MP5s and
They are fucking
they're
serious.
kitted out. So I don't know. It feels a bit like, I agree, a bit tacked on.
But the main thing anyway about this, because the whole thing was just stupid. All it was just a way for you to get to this place. Is Santa Barbara? Santa Barbara, right? Santa Barbara, where
I've been there.
Abby is a... Oh yeah? It's a nice place. Looked nice in the game.
It's California, man.
Okay.
Like, probably by this point it's sunk into the sea from that earthquake plate thing they have, but whatever.
So it's basically Abby is there somewhere being held captive by these people, and Ellie goes to find them,
So
right?
I'll say this. I do like, and they do this good thing of like highs to lows, right?
Yeah.
So Abby finds the fireflies. That was the thing that she was going to do with
Yeah.
Owen, and again, bizarrely, right? She regrets the sex stuff with Owen, and there's all this weird emotional thing. Then Owen's taken away from her, and all she remembers is the good times, and that maybe they were going to do stuff. Like, she even leaves a note in her thing saying, you know, it's kind of a diary entry, like, Owen, I'm here, and I think we're getting close. Which, again, there's this weird psychological stuff, but that's all she's got, and she's dealing with, you know.
That was a bit nicer.
Yeah, I like that stuff. And that she finally makes contact with maybe the fireflies, maybe we don't know, and everything's looking up, and then boom, there's this thing, right?
Yeah. And then Ellie gets there after like fighting through all these people, and it's a long time later. Because it's been that the baby's been born and whatnot, baby's grown up and stuff like that, and it's obviously taken a long time to get to Santa Barbara and stuff like that as well. After, like we've just looked as well, fucking weeks of trekking and stuff.
It's probably at least from Wyoming to Seattle's probably 2 weeks. Well, it's 1,000 miles.
The finer points of it isn't too bad, but it's a long time anyway.
1,000
Enough
miles,
time.
even on horseback. It's a freaking lot.
And she gets there, and she and is it Lev are tied up on these posts.
So she fights her way through this entire freaking like slaver place.
Yeah.
Which is also a change of pace, because the whole way through this, even when we're doing the WLF, we're kind of led to believe that there are some people you have to fight and kill, right?
Yeah.
There are some things you have to fight your way through, but you mostly stealth your way through it. Mm-hmm. This is much more like a toe-to-toe fight. They give you the MP5. And
they give you some decent weapons. The enemies do get upgraded. They've got like helmets and body armor and stuff like that, but they're still very easy to take out.
But again, like if they had helmets and stuff, to prevent headshots, that isn't the time you start the toe-to-toe fight.
Yeah.
It's just it's a bit bizarre, and so you're supposed to go from the stealth type game to like almost running and gunning.
Yeah.
Which is it's kind of a weird change of pace. So you fight your way through all these people with this severe wound.
Yeah, she gets fucking into a tree when she's hanging down, right? Just jacked into the side. That's so
I will
painful.
say I appreciate she murders the dude at the end. She just shoots him like, oh, thanks for information, dead.
Yeah.
Which is
very realistic what you would do in
much
this
better
position.
and much more true to Ellie. So she fights her way all the way through it, frees these slaves or something, and they tell her that
she's down by the posts.
Pillars,
that's it. And I was like, the fucking 4 pillars.
As
always, ruining games. That's what they're doing right there. Yeah,
and she makes her way down there, sees that they're like suffering, cuts them down.
Cuts her down, and then she goes and cuts Lev down, and Abby's like wasted away at this point as well now.
Even wasted away, she's still huge.
I don't think she was that huge.
She's quite muscular.
I felt like she wasn't.
Compared to what she was before, she's not as bulky.
Perhaps.
But she's very lean, and she still looks very strong.
There are little touches. She wasn't like on the verge of starving, but she was. All of that muscle was like gone away. That's all I know.
She's pretty emaciated, and she looks like she's suffered. Right, she's dropped a ton of weight. She's very gaunt. Her hair. They've clearly done stuff to like try to break her spirit and stuff by cutting her hair off. Yeah. She's sunburned and dirty, and like little touches. Like I guess in the WLF and stuff, they're still she's shaving her arms and stuff, right? And now she doesn't. Like when you see her, you're like, okay, cool. She's not like, this isn't the lap of luxury.
Yeah.
And she lets them go. She's done at that point. I guess she's bleeding out and lost the will to fight. Ellie has. And then they go to the seaside and there's boats, which is like the scene at the very beginning before you press start. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. So here's where it ends, right? Because the boat. Yeah. It's like a foreshadowing thing. Yeah. And then you fight Ellie.
Just as Abby's about to go,
she's like, I can't let you leave.
She gets the PTSD.
And I'm like, thank God.
She gets the PTSD moments, and she realizes that the reason why she's come all this way is because she can't live the way she is because of everything that Abby's done to her.
And I feel like this fight, again, it's come this far. They probably both should die. Mm-hmm. If we're gonna end here, like Ellie's bleeding out, she should fucking kill Abby, which she nearly does.
Yep.
And then bleed out, right? Like she probably could have survived if she turned back.
That could have been a thing, because then it would have been like, oh, I completed what I was actually going to do.
Right, but then it cost her everything.
And then that's that.
And it's that, if you seek revenge, dig 2 graves kind of thing, right? It's a resolution, but it isn't the best outcome and all that stuff, right? But then she lets her live.
So how did you feel about this ending?
There's too many endings for one.
How did you feel about this ending?
If it had been, square to let her up and triangle to kill her, she's getting fucking drowned.
So that's actually my point, and I think that solves a lot of this game if there was 2 endings and it was able for you to choose. Yeah. Because if you chose the spare her, then you've chosen it, and it's more impactful to you that you've understood the point of not going for revenge, letting her live, and that everyone has suffered way too much. If you then choose to kill her, then it's like, great, you got your resolution that you wanted, right? You wanted. No problem. Be happy with yourself. You go back, Dina's gone, everyone's missing. You've traded everything for this one thing. Mm-hmm. And you've chosen that. And then the story becomes impactful to you.
I mean, I might have gone with the thing, if you choose to kill Abby, the exertion kills you. Like, she's really wounded.
Well, that as well. Yeah. That could be another option.
Either way, I would have choice. I would have much preferred being able to choose. Yeah. Because I can understand letting her go. I actually can. Yeah.
It's growth. It's personal growth.
Well, it's also, she's gone to all this thing, and the point is making her suffer. Right. The point is getting revenge. And by this point, I can see a version of Ellie that looks and goes, She's suffered. If I'd have left her, it would have been worse than coming all this way, right, and doing all of this. Mm-hmm. So I can see that. I would have appreciated the option. I do not like that she just lets her go. I can
Yeah.
see a version of it, which I'm not. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I definitely agree. Like square to let her up, triangle to hold her down.
And at that moment as well, I was proper like, I think you can see it on stream if anyone wants to go watch it. I was like, we have to kill her, we have to kill her, we have to kill her. And the fact that it takes that control away from you to be like,
Yeah.
and we're going to let her live. And it's like, that's your version of the story. That's not the version of the story that the player's experiencing. I get you're trying to sell a message, but that message was sold poorly, and therefore it's not accepted.
To the point that I'd actually probably give the game, and I'm not joking, a 10. If it would have given me that option, if I could have gone, let her live and got the ending that I got, or kill her, and either Ellie dies and the result, or you come back and things are maybe changed.
Yeah,
I'd give it a 10, and I'm not even joking. I think that's I would go as far as to say, despite it being jerky going to Abby, despite her character model, despite the confusion with no one actually specifically saying Lev is trans, but then they make a point to let you know. I'd give it a 10.
Yeah.
For story, for writing, for combat, for smoothness, for everything. I think ultimately I'd give it a 10. I'd say it's probably a perfect game. I'd put it up there with The Witcher, God of War, and The Last of Us 1. I'd put it above The Last of Us 1.
1 point, Neil Druckmann. That 1 point, and you fucked that one up right there. That's genuinely like I put it somewhere here. I put down like if you'd been able to choose at the end, that would have made it personally impactful for yourself, and that would have sold the game right there. It would have been a 10 out of 10.
I would, and I'm not even joking. I'd give it a 10 if I could make the switch. Plus, I'd go back and try it.
Yeah, just to see what happens the other way as well.
I would have saved or reloaded and go, okay, what happens if I do?
And have that impact, see what you felt at that moment as well.
So I actually agree. 8 out of 10 though. I really enjoyed it. I felt the combat was so smooth. I loved when you were crawling through stuff. I would just run up to it and jump under it because it was cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it despite those jerky things.
I really enjoyed it as well, and I honestly, as we said just now, if it wasn't for that moment, if it had an alternate ending where you could choose what you wanted, would have been a perfect game. All the game mechanics are fantastic. The acting is fantastic. The voice actors and all the performances were fantastic as well.
Everything that isn't those two story decisions, switching to Abby plus her cliche revenge needs, and
asking you to hunt down Ellie.
Oh fuck! I hated that.
Why?
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Or we should have lost, but she gets away to give that unfinished business thing. I would have liked to be able to choose my own ending, and her stuff's a bit cliche.
Yeah.
Despite everything other than that, is genuinely 10 out of 10. Game mechanics 10 out of 10. Acting 10 out of 10. The way it looks 10 out of 10. The enemy types 10 out of 10. Like it's really genuinely fantastic.
Agree. Big agree.
Yeah.
All right. We got a couple of comments. We can't read out, unfortunately, all of them because a lot of people wrote paragraphs. And there are a lot. And I'm sorry for the guys that maybe we miss out on whatnot. You guys are all fantastic for writing in and whatnot.
Should we maybe read it and condense what they're saying?
We'll see what we can do here, but we've got a few comments from the lads over on the Discord server. Thank you so much for writing, and you can be a part of the Discord server by clicking that link in the description. You can.
Great place to be.
We'll alternate between here. I'll start off with Diogo's one here. Diogo goes, I love that you took a dig at me with this paragraph shit because I said, guys, try and put it in a nice short paragraph, right? He goes, I'm conflicted. It's definitely not a story I wanted, but that expectation was already killed by the leak. So everything I saw won't have the reactions from expecting another story.
He got leaked and we didn't. He got spoiled and we didn't.
He did, yeah. So I really do love the Ellie bits, especially day one, by far the best of Ellie, as well as the flashbacks. And I do love day 2 and day 3 for Abby due to the set pieces, because there was cool set pieces on like the skyscraper. Fucking
amazing.
Hell. Woo! I was gonna die there.
Yeah.
I did fall off a couple of times for good measure as well because she needed to die.
I fell off once as well.
I think the message and the theme of seeking revenge is a fool's goal, as well as Ellie's descent due to this was very well done. Yep. That ending broke me with how she couldn't play the guitar. That was fucking awful as well. Yeah. Just because
that's the thing. It cost her everything.
It even cost her the memories that Joel gave her.
Wouldn't that have been cool that when you kill Abby, that's what happens? But if you let her live, it doesn't?
Yeah. That's another thing. The
cost to it. There's always a cost. There's a cost to every action. And wouldn't it have been so amazing to play it through once and you let her go and you come back and play the guitar, and like grieve and stuff for Joel.
Exactly.
And then you kill her, you come back and, you can't play anymore.
would have been so much more impactful.
It's so frustrating. I'm actually going to make it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah? Oh shit, you've downgraded already.
No, and it is because ultimately it's a story game.
Yeah.
The Last of Us 1 is one of my favourite games of all time, and there's no game.
Yeah.
There's no gameplay. There really genuinely isn't. But it's an incredible story, and its story beats and everything are perfect. And the couple of instances, the switching to Abby, her character model, and the ending bugged me so much. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time.
Yeah.
No, I keep it at 7.5. It really bugs me.
7.5.
Because think of how much more cost would there have been.
And also, we've easily come up with that as well.
It's not hard.
It's not hard. Anyway, I've warmed up to Joel's death and playing as Abby, but I would have preferred more Joel in Jackson and more Jackson in general. It's Jacksonville. I don't know why you're saying Jackson. It's so strange.
Okay, do you know what? I would have liked a bit more Joel early on.
Yeah.
Where we can, but the problem is they have this conflict that we don't know about yet. As far as you're concerned, when you start the game, Ellie and Joel, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been for a while, but it was getting back on track.
That's the thing. It's the fact that we didn't get to, because the whole anticipation was getting back to Joel and Ellie as well, but Joel as well. And because he got taken away from us too soon, it was like, oh shit, I've got this empty feeling. But that gets you
invested though.
It's true. And the pacing is better in day one of Abby. Pacing just breaks to a halt and is boring when it comes to day one of Abby.
I feel you.
Can't say that I like Abby overall, but I can see her viewpoint and I don't hate her. We don't hate her. That's as well.
She has to die.
She just has to die for what she did.
I have to at least get to kill her once. She took Joel from me.
Exactly. Wish Dina, Tommy, and Jesse had more scenes in development because we get so little of them and we're not attached to them.
I feel that.
Same with Abby's mates. Since I never cared for them except Owen, who had character development. Also, fuck Mel, stupid bitch. That's right. And Lev and Yara were good too.
I like Lev and Yara, yeah.
Love to see WLF Scar's conflict too from Abby's perspective after reading all these notes of Ellie. However, I can't deny I would have preferred seeing through Ellie's perspective too, which concept art and Neil Druckmann confirmed that Ellie was meant to visit the Scars Island instead of Abby. Apparently, that was a thing. I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Don't see how that would work.
I don't know either, but again, I'm sure there was some.
I feel like most of the story beats are on point.
Yeah.
Just switching to Abby was janky, and that ending so easy.
Yeah.
So easy to really make this game
impactful.
Genuinely, probably perfect.
Yeah. Last thing, guess the only thing I really hate is having to fight Ellie as Abby, as we've said, because it really just felt wrong to do so. I kept making Abby die, as I'm sure many others did, too, because I simply don't want to hurt Ellie. Hated the Santa Barbara section too, because it just felt tacked on. He felt it as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, and gameplay was fantastic. 2 chef's kisses right there.
Gameplay, incredible. Mate, just making you fight Ellie and win. It's so strange. So especially when Ellie's fully kitted up and you aren't.
I didn't think about it until we spoke about it now, but the way that you said it, where like if it had been she got away and it had like nobody won and they were just separated and they went, all right, fuck it. Do you know what? Too much has happened. I almost just lost Dina right here. I'm not willing to sacrifice everything now.
At that point, she's been talked into going back to Jackson.
Yeah.
Right, and then it catches up to her, and then suddenly she was done. But now there's all this risk, her friends and family and her baby and girlfriend, wife, love. All right, like it was interesting to have Ellie as an enemy.
Yeah,
like that was because I felt like I was being stalked. I did not expect to win, and I don't think we should have. I think it should have come out as everybody's unfulfilled.
Yeah,
but then. Ellie goes back but has the PTSD and can't bring herself to live a calm life. And actually, the real kick to the guts, Abby's okay.
Yeah.
Abby's finding her way. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it hurt that Ellie isn't. And then Ellie comes, as the characters, the players, the audience, we're like, fuck, we have to get this chick,
Yeah.
So, anyway, DC fanboy Rohit says... My thoughts, even though I haven't played the game, but I have watched the whole game visually.
Okay.
The sound design and animation, top notch, but gameplay is just tweaks from the previous game. It looks fluid because of animations.
I think it's a fair step up. Fair step up.
Yeah, I disagree. I feel you. I know what you're getting at, but I disagreed with that last bit. Now to the story. It has a great opening and flashbacks were great, but playing as a villain for 40% of the game, isn't that like they tried too hard to make you sympathize with Abby? It clearly shows you how much they tried to feel about Abby and her friends. But this is a bit strange. They tried too hard to sympathize Abby, and it's clear how much you tried to feel about Abby and her friends. I won't say they tried to.
Yeah, it's a bit weird how it's been written there. They tried to do Joel and Ellie.
I feel like his phone's corrected some words and he hasn't.
Just over here. If the game starts as Abby or gave us more...
Yeah, if the game started as Abby or gave us more time before killing Joel off, it would have been better structure to the story. Oh, I lost it. Better structure to the story, which is poorly done. It feels like the sequel was not needed. If they ended the game with part 1, it would have been much better. It suffers from pacing, like day one of both characters feel long when you play as Abby, and you wanted to rush through when you play as Ellie. Gameplay needs to go hand in hand with story. Part 1 was at a perfect pace with the story, and gameplay didn't feel like like the original before day one, the first part. So it didn't feel like it was thrust down your throat. Speaking of marketing, I hate Naughty Dog for showing or lying to the fan base. Divided the Last of Us fan base. Overall, I give this game 6 out of 10. So that's what I was talking about with the adverts, with people saying it looked like Joel saves her. If you go back and watch it, I promise you, it isn't as misleading as you think.
No. See, the thing, I don't think that it's bad for what they did per se, but it is. They did definitely try to lead people on to think that he's alive.
Absolutely.
And people can be pissed at that. It's not a huge deal. It's not the biggest thing.
But that's part of the.
Exactly. Yeah.
My
biggest thing is just having to play as a character that we didn't care about, and it wasn't advertised at any point that we were going to play as this character. If you but then again, how would it have been like? So this character kills Joel, and you're going to play as her. It's like that wouldn't have worked. You can't do it that way.
I will say, no other game has ever given me that kind of emotional roller coaster. There's some great. Don't get me wrong. Like the God of War 4 is such a great father-son story, but I didn't feel impacted or drained. Like I felt drained after playing this game. It took an emotional toll on me, and I believe that shows how potent even the things that I didn't like were for the story. I would definitely have changed fighting Ellie.
Yeah.
I would definitely have added the pick your ending at the end.
But it just shows how impactful the whole story was that it made you feel that way.
Right, it really genuine. I needed 2 days rest.
Yeah.
And I'm not even joking.
I
actually
tough.
needed 2 days rest.
D writes in and he goes, so personally I like the game a lot. I do think most people that gave the game 0 out of 10 haven't played it and only watched/read leaks, and that's not fine because most leaks didn't describe stuff in context, but it was more of like a note thing, like a certain character does this. That's the thing. People were criticizing it. They were like, Abby is a muscly chick. It's like 0 out of 10. That doesn't make any sense.
So they were like, I believe one of the leaks was someone's trans.
Yeah.
And I got that leak from a video thumbnail, and I was like, they probably don't even know, they're just reporting these leaks.
Yeah.
And I said, there's probably some truth to it, but it's out of context. Abby isn't trans, and I appreciate that Abby's female and that they butt heads. The problem is they make her so ridiculously... Anyway, I've said my piece.
Have you? I didn't think you did. No, but the thing is that there were people out there that just immediately wrote things off, and they just want to be able to write things. I think Metacritic, because of that, have changed. They're like, you can't submit user reviews now until like a couple of days afterwards to sort of like not prove you've played the game.
At least give you time to have experience.
But so it's not immediately a 0 out of 10 and then works its way up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree. I'll say this: having seen that first flashback, I decided then and there, no matter what. And I saw that everybody was saying it's shit. Yeah. I'm going to play the entire thing.
Yeah.
It's because they understood the relationship that I was there for.
Yeah. So they've at least got me for the game.
Right. So I played it. I'm glad I played it. It was draining. I'll probably play it at least once more. I played The Last of Us a few times. I don't know how many times I'll play this again because that last end bit in California does feel tacked on. Yeah. And I have problems with that. Again, those are the two big things. Fighting Ellie and that ending, man.
It's tough for you to play this story because it's so emotionally draining. Imagine that, I'm going to choose to emotionally drain myself again.
Do you know what? I think we should tweet Neil Druckmann and say, I think you should patch the ending of the game.
Mate, do you think the thing is, Neil Druckmann, as much as like we love the work he's done
I don't
here,
care that they're not
and the
going to do it.
previous
I think we should tweet a
and the
reasonable...
previous one, he's up on his high horse and he believes he's better than everyone, especially because they only paid attention to the ridiculous people making ridiculous tweets saying stupid stuff that no sane person even follows. And because they only address those ones, they make it look like everyone's an idiot and they're perfect.
I would go as far as to say this: leave the thing in the theater. As much as I hate that, redo the ending so they can choose. So if you fight, if you kill her, you lose your fingers.
Yeah.
And we see that scene where she can't play it. If you don't, it's the same ending except she has her fingers. Redo that alone.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like, Neil Druckmann, we just saved your game, all right?
And
0 out of 10 to 10 out of 10.
And I'm not talking about like now you have to redo things where Ellie dies or any of that stuff, right? Like you just make it so that she stays under the water, and then it cuts to peaceful music, and we see her walking back up to the farm, but she can't play the guitar. Yeah. She lets her up. She didn't lose the fingers. You just edit that bit in.
Yeah,
it's a surprise. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's a lot of work, but I think just that alone would put this game up significantly.
Yeah. You can't have an opinion on a whole game if you haven't played it. That's
Sorry,
like
D.
me eating...
I put that whole fucking diatribe in the middle of your
Don't worry,
comments,
he's been doing that the whole episode.
We're only at 3 hours, so...
That's like me eating a sandwich and someone telling me it's not good. I like the cycle of violence idea. It shows that revenge can corrupt a person and that you shouldn't do it. Joel's death was impactful and served to the story. And as for Abby, I don't hate her. I somewhat like her. We get to see her side of the story, and she is just as broken as Ellie, which I love, because no one is good or evil in this world or in real life. The ending was gut punching and depressing. I'd give the game a good 8.5 out of 10 overall.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the liking Abby stuff. I do kind of like her. I just think I wanted that choice, and I don't like beating Ellie. Bugs me, but I'm okay with stuff I don't like. But man, why are you giving me all the ones without the nice clear?
Mate, I don't fucking.
Shit.
I'm just doing it. Yeah, go on.
Igor says, "Oh boy, this is going to be long. After like 2 weeks since the game released, I've been thinking about it pretty much non-stop. The game is definitely a top 5 of all time for me."
All right.
I'm just going to pause and give it... I actually kind of agree.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything that I wanted. It didn't do anything that I wanted from this sequel at all, and it's not what I... Fuck. This is tough, isn't it? Without the...
Yeah, when it's not like paragraphs or spacing and whatnot, it feels a bit off.
This game is definitely a top 5 of all time. It didn't do what I wanted from the sequel at all, and it's not what I wanted at all, but I fucking loved every second of this game. It made me cry, it made me laugh, but it made me think, and it made me think a lot. The story of this game isn't perfect, and pacing issues are mostly with day one of playing as Abby. Yeah. I think it was paced in the wrong moment. It shouldn't have been I think it was placed in the wrong moment. It shouldn't have been placed in the middle of a cliffhanger. Yeah.
Very big.
It just ruined the action of the game, in my opinion. It made me not care at all for the first day of playing as Abby, and I just wanted to get back to Ellie and see what happened there instead. Playing as Abby at first made me feel so uncomfortable, since I was literally playing as the killer of my favourite video game character.
Yep.
But as it went on, the more I loved it, the more I emphasized...
Empathized?
It should be empathized with
her.
her.
It says emphasized. Yeah.
I was like, what? The more I empathized with her, and it made it all worth it with the incredible set pieces like the Sky Bridge, the burning village. It was so fucking good. Probably 2 of my favorite set pieces in video games, especially the Sky Bridge. It made me feel so uncomfortable, as I'm scared of heights myself, and I was literally there sweating.
Right there with you.
The ending I thought was really good, but only after thinking about it afterwards. In the moment, I literally just wanted to kill Abby, and I was so disappointed Ellie didn't kill her. But it was the right choice for the story, and I fucking adore the ending more the more I think about it. I do wish there was more Joel to show how he developed as a character in those 4 years between the games, and that's probably the only other criticism I've got, other than the shit marketing from Naughty Dog, misleading us about the game and lying in the trailer. So again, I do think you should go back and watch that trailer. I did, and don't feel so under
because it's not actually lying, but it's misdirection. And misdirection is supposed to happen in trailers. You're not supposed to...
Maybe we'll cut in that specific scene and we can show you it, but if you look, like, you can tell it isn't the same stuff. I do want to say about Joel, I do think if you go back and play those early sections, the amount you learn about Joel after he's gone from like his possessions and just even his house, I do think it's okay that we don't get as much of him. I really feel like we should have got to pick the ending though.
Yeah.
Like
That would have changed the whole
even
game.
if Ellie doesn't die, like if it's that same scene but she doesn't have her fingers as a result, like how much she loses, and that's the last thing she has of Joel.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been so good. The gameplay is fucking amazing, and it's the best I've ever played in a video game. I agree. The attention to detail is second to none, and Naughty Dog have smashed it yet again. I love the game, and I'd probably give it a 9 to 9.5 out of 10, to be honest. It was an 8, but the more I think about the game, the more I love it, and I think it's going to be one of those games that will age like wine, and people will love it more as time goes. It will for sure be remembered as one of the best games of a generation, and from a technical perspective, it's the best game of all time, I guess, so far.
I agree with the fine wine bit. I think a bit of time later, people will forget about all the qualms they have with it and stuff like that, and it will just be remembered as this incredibly impactful story.
One of the things I was going to say, because we haven't spoken about gaming, I specifically didn't say this.
Yeah.
I had predicted that my pick was going to go Cyberpunk, Ghost of Tsushima, and then maybe this or Valhalla.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ghost of Tsushima can beat this.
It's quite big, isn't it?
It's genuinely
quite big.
And I don't joke. The gameplay is the best gameplay I've ever experienced. It's so smooth, it's so good, it gives you so many options, it's so creative. Stealth and combat. Like the fact that you can start combat, run and get into stealth, or start in stealth and get into combat. So good. It is just that ending for us. I think we're both on the same point there.
Yeah. All right, let me read Mario's one next.
I think you got...
Yeah, Egos was before, so Mario.
Oh, okay.
Mario, I personally loved the game, although after some points in the game, I needed a breather. The game was an amazing experience. A lot of people just stop playing after the spoiler alert. Joel dies. This is Spoilercast, so it's okay. You can say that.
Yeah.
But that entire scene was just so intense. I was rushing towards that house. And then when it happened, obviously when he's playing as Ellie, rushing towards the house, and then when it happened, I immediately DM'd Jas because I needed to talk to somebody about it. I was shocked. That night we were in VC chatting, talking about it also with Ben, James, and a few others. It was mental. All those sections you play as Ellie were amazing. I enjoyed them so much, and the exploration in the game was really well done. I explored every area, and I always managed to find something new. Also, hearing Ellie play "Take on Me," did you get that?
So good.
I didn't. I was like, no way, and I had goosebumps. I had it on stream. I was like, fuck, I've got goosebumps listening to this. Right.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure I've experienced everything in this game.
Yeah.
I really wanted to play through it.
While playing as Ellie, I had the same emotions as her. I was saddened and enraged by Joel's death and wanted those WLF cunts to fucking die. When I got to Nora and was forced to beat her up and get the information, I was fucking happy. But then I realized what happened and thought to myself, what the fuck? So I was, in that moment, I was as well fucking happy. I was beating the crap out of her. Yeah. So you get to call Joel a bitch? I was like, you what?
Yeah. And then
you
come back to the theatre and she's like shaking
up. It was quite something, isn't it?
It's not just a testament to how is the point of this game.
Yeah, just a testament to how great this game was. I'm trying to keep this a bit short. Well, you failed at that. Failed. So I'm going to rush through this bit now. When Abby arrives and Tommy's on the ground, the same emotions that I had with Joel came up. I was so fucking scared. Then we switch over to Abby. At first, I wasn't playing the game properly because I thought this was just a small part of the game. Yeah. I did the same thing as well. I was like, I'm going to finish this part in a second and we'll just go on like that. But then I realised it wasn't. So I went to sleep and tried again the next day, tried to play it properly, play the game properly. And that happened a few times while playing through this game. I needed a breather or time to think to continue, which hasn't happened to me in a game except for the first time in Red Dead Redemption. So one time in Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2, yeah, sorry. The Abby sections were fun to play from the gameplay perspective, but it was tough to play as Joel's murderer at first. I slowly got used to playing as her, which we all did after a while. But then, at the point where you're at the theatre and she shoots Tommy, I was like, nah. Yeah. Switch back to Ellie right now.
I ended up liking Abby.
Yeah.
Right? She still got to die.
Yeah.
At least once. But I agree. You switch.
There was a bit more human in her.
I always agree. She shoots Tommy. you need to be Ellie and you gotta kill this bitch. It's gotta end here, right?
And then the worst boss fight ever I ever had to go through happened. I had to fight Ellie. Like Manny, I killed myself many times, which was very pleasing. But I had to fight Ellie, and it was so tough. Ellie at the farm was good, but I was worried that it would end right there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it didn't. The PTSD part was awful mentally. We agree with that part. I rushed down those stairs like crazy. It was so fucked. Moving on to the most intense boss fight ever, the second Ellie versus Abby fight. Never have I ever spammed the square button so hard before. That entire boss fight was so emotional. And then we see Joel playing the guitar. Flashback was so was a perfect moment for that. I understand why Ellie didn't kill Abby. I think it's mostly because of Lev, but I'm not upset that she didn't kill Abby. Then we would get back to the farm and Ellie's biggest fear has become a reality. She's alone. Dina left with JJ, and then she tries to play the guitar, the last thing that Joel ever left her, but she can't play it.
We said a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah. Just this last line. Such an emotional game, and I have never been so emotional so many times in a game before. Also, Ellie's story isn't over. I'm sure there'll be a part 3. I have a feeling of that as well.
What could they possibly do?
Well, they've left it open. She's kind of gone out now and whatnot. We'll see what happens. But it does seem like there's not much to do.
Maybe
right?
she ends up picking up a kid a la Joel and Ellie.
Maybe. And I can't wait. I give this game a 9.5 out of 10. Thank you, Mario, for that. Very well review right there.
For the most part, I do agree. I ended up liking Ellie. I ended up liking Abby. It's just the fact that you beat Elliot in the theatre that bugs me. But the thing that I find unforgivable is not being able to choose at the end.
Yeah. And
I'm not joking. If it was as simple as being able to choose those two things, keep everything else the same. But if you kill her, you lose the fingers, and if you don't, you keep them. Genuinely, perfect game, and I would say to the point that I don't think if we could have done that, I actually don't think Cyberpunk could beat it for me.
Yeah.
I still think Cyberpunk may be game of the
year.
Cyberpunk
is going to be a different game, and it will be impactful in its own way.
I don't think it will speak to me the way this did.
This game, as I said, everything that I felt in this game has shook me like no other game has ever shook me before.
I completely agree.
And had it had that perfect ending that we just came up with, now no one said anything about it. And
I don't think so.
It would have changed the face of gaming. Like all of those people that were online already and they were going like, "Oh, this is a perfect game." I would have been like, "I see why now. This is perfect."
That ending, our version of the ending, where you kill her and you lose the fingers, or you leave her and you keep them. And ideally, if there's a third one that she doesn't have them or does, depending on how you do things, I would say it's the best game ever made, and I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. I know some people hate it. I know there's some SJW propaganda type shit in there. I know there's a lot of strong women, but I don't care. Yeah. I don't care about it. It didn't bug me. It would have been perfect just by changing that one thing, and I'll deal with the fact that jumping to Abby was jerky. I'll deal with the fact that you beat Ellie.
It can be easily be overlooked.
I wish Ellie was a serious boss. I feel like fighting that Rat King should be the third toughest boss in it. Should be fighting the Rat King, fighting Ellie and she beats you or whatever, fighting Abby at the end.
Yeah.
Though it should be in that order. Oh God, it was so close to genuine perfection.
So close. Not everything can be perfect. Yeah, this has been going on quite long. Go on, read the last one.
Dylan says, I love The Last of Us Part 1 and I love The Last of Us Part 2. I think the gameplay was fantastic. I haven't played many stealth games, but man, the stealth mechanics for this game were fucking 10 out of 10 for me. I agree. Again, I am a stealth is optional for this thing, except for this game. It's the only game.
Going through the grass, it was so fucking good.
So good. For the story, I loved it. Every bit of it, actually. From the traumatizing scene of Joel's death to the scene of Ellie forgiving Abby and and forgiving Joel. Yeah, of course she does. I love the characters, the direction, and most of all the theme of the game, which personally I think are humanity and forgiveness. Interesting, because I think we both feel it's revenge doesn't get what you want.
Yeah. That's an interesting way of seeing it. Okay.
Because my real in-depth thoughts would take forever to write down, I'll stop here. I give this game a solid 9 out of 10. One of the best games I've ever played. Sorry, I put too much emphasis on that because... very quickly... I'd like to say something for the people who might have liked the game but not the ending, or both, I don't know. I understand why they feel it would have been better if Abby died in the end, but it's simply not. Those are the same people who think Abby had a happy ending and Ellie had a bad one. Neither went out on top because both regret their actions.
Yeah.
Ellie forgave Abby the same, and I mean the exact same how Ellie forgave Joel, and they make it very clear after Ellie forgives Abby, they show the scene of Ellie forgiving Joel. But first, they have an argument, the same as Ellie brutally beating Abby. Then forgiveness. Then she forgives her and lets her go. It's the same scene with Joel, but just on a grander scale.
Yeah.
I've never had a game.
It was very impactful as well
I've
when
never
we went
had
back
a
to
game.
Joel and he's like
Oh
with his
my
coffee
God.
cup and what else.
And it makes it hurt so much more that they had. It wasn't that. It's that they patched things up and were trying to get it back on track. I've never had a game affect me emotionally anywhere near this. Like The Last of Us 1 was great, and like Sarah's death was cool, but it was for a fraction of a second, right? Then you're back in it. God of War has this great father-son story. The Witcher has a great father-daughter story. Nothing has consistently done it. There's something about it, man. I can't. I just want the ending. I want the choice. That's it.
If only. We've got another comment here from Super Daniel. He says, seeing as the last few reviews were pretty positive, and I'd probably be repeating a lot of what was said, I'll just explain briefly one of my problems with the game. The transition between Ellie on day 3 to Abby day 1 was horrible, and that kind of ruined the game for me. She killed Jesse, and then we have to play as her. I feel like that if Ellie day 3 ended up with Abby seeing a dead pregnant Mel, she's a retard. She really is a fucking retard. And Owen, that would have made Abby's day 1 way much made it more made it much better, and would have made Abby an easier character to sympathize with. That's true. If it had gone into something as impactful as that, it would have been way better. Also, this is a nitpick, but Abby's fear of heights was not portrayed well, and at all, and no one will be able to change my mind of it.
I agree.
As someone who has a slight fear of heights, I'll tell you, as someone firsthand with a fear of heights, would not have walked across that sky bridge. That's true. I've got a fear of heights and I would not have done it. They would have grabbed the bridge with both of their hands and crawled like praying to God. That's true.
Yeah.
The ending was alright. I get why it happened, and I was disappointed that Abby didn't die. At least I didn't cry like Eddie did. I did that.
Did you cry?
I shed a tear right there. It was quite bad. I feel like...
Did you cry out of frustration or...
I cried that she didn't get her resolution and whatnot. And there was other points as well that was like really fucking... I was tearing up and stuff like that. I just felt like the game was built on whether or not you can like Abby, and I didn't... Whether or not you can like Abby, and I didn't. So I
didn't like Abby. Yeah.
Oh, whether you didn't like Abby, I see. Okay, so like Abby. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the Rattlers tortured her, and I hope that she has PTSD. I hope that too. Don't worry. I think that we'll get Last of Us 3 focus more on the cure, and we'll get Abby and Lev as the main characters in that game. That would be fucking awful. And
that wouldn't be good.
Also, here's Eddie's first reaction to Ellie sparing Abby. That's when it was coming back. I was, my head in my hand, just like...
I'll say, I feel like her fear of heights was one of those things they did to try and like personalize her, to stop her being this like evil villain antagonist and make her another protagonist who two protagonists bumping heads.
Look, she's a human. She's a human, right?
She just was done very poorly.
Yeah, it was very, very poor. And the final comment from our
Jack
boy...
Ryan says, I'm a big fan of the first game, with it being a top 3, possibly number 1 favourite game. Okay, yeah, fair. I found the gameplay, visuals and acting amazing and loved all the characters. The game's atmosphere is constantly tense and always has you on your toes, watching your back for stalkers who are always watching. The game immediately hooks you in with the death of one of our favourite characters, Joel, and I initially didn't know how to feel, but I just had to stop the game as I felt uneasy at the scene. Even though it was spoiled for me, it caught me off guard and it rattled me. Ellie's story was great, and I enjoyed watching Ellie and Dina's relationship grow. The flashbacks were great, and I feel they were some of the best parts in the game. Ellie's confrontation... how did I not get confrontation? Ellie's confrontation with Nora was probably one of my favourite parts, chasing her around the hospital before torturing one of Joel's murderer's friends for the information, which grows from enjoyment to complete shock at what Ellie is becoming.
Just before you continue from there, the scene where we was chasing, it just came back to me. I was so angry at that point that
I was so
think
afraid she would get away.
I was like, no, you're not fucking getting away. You fucking get right. I think I was swearing the whole time. I was like, you fucking bitch. I swear to God, come back here.
I knew it
All
was a
the guys
chase
watching,
scene, and I was like, I have to shoot her.
Yeah, yeah.
And I couldn't. I couldn't, do it.
Wouldn't let you.
Abby and Lev's relationship was a highlight and was a great parallel to Joel and Ellie. I do feel the ending was really unsatisfying, but I think that was the point, showing how unsatisfying Ellie's revenge was. But I kind of felt like I'd spent 30 hours to no payoff until we see Joel and Ellie's final moment, which gave me just enough to say that this game was worth it and left me on somewhat of a happy ending where I could say I was content with the game. Replaying this game for the plat and getting a chance to look at this game knowing what happens and no unrealistic expectations made me enjoy it a bit more. That bit more. I'd give this game 8 out of 10. I loved it, and it's probably top 10, but I wouldn't say it's as special as the first game to me.
Jake Ryan, new Super Bro. He's a brand new patron as well. Went straight to Super Bro tier. Thank you so much for your support. And also, he's an epic trophy hunter. He's just mentioned he's going to go for the platinum right there. Me and you, we're going to get along just fine. Yeah, that's a very. I
tend to agree.
Doing, yeah.
I suspect that because we'll be in the live chat that everybody will agree with us that we should get to choose whether she dies or not, and if she does, if Abby does die, that she loses the fingers. I think we'll probably all agree that's an ideal way to do this thing because it would add the cost and the risk and stuff. I will say this.
Yeah.
I did not purchase the game. I borrowed yours.
Yeah.
Once I'm done, I'm not going to spend any money now because I got Ghost of Tsushima in a week. Which, by the way, Anime Club, we're watching Samurai Champloo, which is very fitting for it, and it will be great. So join us for that on the main channel, Conbrosations. I guess it's not the second. It's almost the second channel now. Which one's the main channel? Which one's it's hard to tell these days. But we're doing Anime Club on the other channel. After Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe Cyberpunk. Depending on where it comes, I will be buying the game.
Good man.
And I haven't decided if I'm going to buy it new or if I'm going to buy it used. And that's down to how Naughty Dog dealt with stuff prior to the release, striking people's channels and stuff, which I do not like their practices. Up to that point, I get they were getting some stick, which now looking back on it was totally undeserved, but they also did dick moves.
Yeah, you don't do that. Even
But
if people's chatting shit
game.
about you, you do the right thing and you just, alright, they're being dicks, alright.
But I will own this game. Yeah. I'm going to play it again. Fuck the platinum, but I want to play it for
You're
the
not
story.
a trophy guy like me and Jake are.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not a true gamer like Jake or
Exactly.
a loser like you. 8 out of 10. You give me that ending choice. 10 out of 10. I'm conflicted because I really genuinely believed Cyberpunk was going to be not only game of the year, but game of the decade.
Yeah. And this is shot right up there.
I need to play Cyberpunk. I now do not... I don't think Ghost of Tsushima is going to be the second runner-up.
What I think this game is, and I think this is pretty much where we could end it on, is that this game is a great piece of art.
Yes.
It's a great cinematic experience. It tells a story and makes you feel like no other game has ever felt before. And it deserves the praise it gets.
It's The Last of Us 1. Yeah. It's the end of a generation with the best game frickin' ever, and the start of a generation with so much fucking heat.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do? If you're looking back at... There are so many games. The Last of Us came out in 2013. Mm-hmm. How many games actually competed with it? 3?
Yeah.
God
barely
of War,
any.
The Witcher. What else? Them 2.
Yeah. I can't really think of much more.
Right?
Zahir's probably saying Persona 5.
Right? What are they going to do for the next 7 years, for this current coming generation?
Yeah.
You've got to deal with Cyberpunk and this, and I'm sorry.
You've got to hope to bury The Last of Us 2 even further down that maybe people will forget about it, but people won't.
We've done a big, long talk on this. I think we had to talk about a lot. I know we rehashed a lot of stuff, but the things that bug us really bug us.
We've almost done a movie club and gone the length of the game.
We really have. We really have. I'm looking at this thing. We're close.
At least we didn't make you play as Abby halfway through.
The Last of Us Part 2 review, Day 3.
Day 3. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining us for this spoiler cast. If you like this kind of format, we might do it, because this is actually the very first one that we've done properly together and whatnot.
I don't think we'll be able to do it for Cyberpunk.
I
think it's going to be
That's going to be an ongoing game. We have impressions and stuff like that. But maybe for Ghost of Tsushima we might do something like that. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, thanks for writing in, everyone. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
I'll catch you in the next one,
bro. Oh, shake hands. We're doing it.